over a little bit. So we are still in the process of getting a few things set up, but we've got the chat on screen. We're good to go. NXT starts in about 43 minutes or so. So what we'll do before we do anything else and get into the chat, get into conversation, we'll do what we do, which is preview the show, work our way down what's actually on the show tonight, and take it from there. So we've got Tony D'Angelo and Stax. They're going to defend the NXT tag titles against Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin. This could be a really fun match. Bron Breakker, Baron Corbin winning the Dusty Classic. So that's going to be a very interesting encounter. We've got NXT North American Champion Obafemi. He is going to be speaking for the first time following Vengeance Day. So we've got that. We've got Carmelo Hayes, who's actually going to be battling away with Joe Gacy. So Carmelo Hayes against Joe Gacy. We've got the energetic Brinley Reese. She's going to be taking on Kiana James. You might remember that Izzy Dame and Kiana James were bullying her backstage last week. So she is going to be taking them on. She's the girl that's been in the segments with Idris Enofe and Malik Blades. She seems kind of fun. I don't know if we've seen her in the ring, to be honest. I think she's probably been in a Battle Royal. Maybe done like some NXT Level Up matches, which I've not seen. But we have not seen much of Brinley Reese. So she's going to be taking on Kiana James. We've got Von Wagner and Mr. Stone taking on Noam Dar and Oro Mensah. So this is quite interesting. If you've been watching and joining us for the unseen videos, and of course a big thank you if you have, Mr. Stone has been training. He is a former wrestler. He is someone that really is getting across how much this means to him on social media. He's talking a lot about the fact that his kids have never seen him wrestle. His kids are going to be there, and he doesn't want to let them down. He's cut promos in his car. He's been quite emotional. This really means a lot to him. This means a lot to Mr. Stone. So it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. The Von Wagner, Mr. Stone stuff hasn't quite landed with me personally. I like Von, and I don't mind us having a look at his backstory, but we've done it week after week after week after week after week. We've tried to make him more relatable. Mr. Stone and his kids, I mean, it's fine, it's nice, it's pleasant, but I don't know that it's the most engaging content. And here he is teaming up with Von Wagner. It means a lot to him. I'm excited for him, and we'll see kind of how the match goes. I must admit that the extra hype that he's put on it from social media has definitely got me a bit more engaged than I think I normally would be. So yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see how it goes. So a fair few things on NXT today for us to get our teeth into. As we said, that's about 40 odd minutes or so away. If you just quickly have a look, see what was on the Wrestling Observer homepage. So it's got NXT live updates. It's got 2 matches announced for Dynamite this week. WWE returning to Italy. That was announced earlier. They're doing a house show in Italy later this year. Stone Cold has said about a potential match with CM Punk. We'll see. I'm not really holding out too much hope, but I suppose we could get it, I suppose. He did wrestle Kevin Owens just the other year. WWE 2K have released their showcase of the Immortals trailer, which, to be honest, I've not seen yet. AEW Collision ratings were up. It's the best rating since October, apparently, for Collision. I didn't see what that number was, though. It did 491. 491, which is up 21.5% apparently, so that's a good number for Collision. Tony Khan comments on creating a safe space, and Rocky Romero joins the front office. So that's the headlines from Wrestling Observer. So we're kind of we know what we're seeing tonight. We're kind of caught up on the news, and SE Scoops just saying that WWE did change the plans for WrestleMania 40's main event after fan backlash. And I know I keep saying it, but every single time I read this, Every single time I read this, all I keep thinking is those people saying, let it play out, let it play out, let it play out. That's all I keep thinking. Whenever I see an article about how they did change it following the fan backlash, I just think of those people that said, let it play out, let it play out. Where are they now? And wherever they are, I hope they're getting grief. I hope they're getting grief. Because they were trying to silence that movement. They were trying to dampen that movement. And if they had succeeded, you would not be getting Cody in the main event. So, they got it wrong. They got it wrong. Right, let's jump into the chat and see what the word on the street is. Eric said, Daze is a hard worker. Let's show him the love. Eric, shout out to you, my friends. It's not hard work if you don't see it as work. I absolutely love it. It does kind of mean that I am a little bit all over the place at times, hence this stream starting a little bit late or whatever. But yeah, it's I loved it. I love the opinions piece from earlier. We got some really interesting thoughts about Raw, which I thought was good. Shorter episode as well, so should be a little bit easier to digest. So that's there if you want to see that. The other thing I want to do with those, and I didn't really get a chance to fully flesh it out, but I want to have a look at the scores for the matches. So you know how you lot score the matches. I want to start putting that in the opinions video so we can have a look at the scores for the matches. I want to have a look at what you scored the show. But I didn't get a chance to put these things in for the most recent one because we don't have anything set up for that yet. So my plan over the next few days is to make sure the Fridays, the one for SmackDown, that will have that in place. So when you lot scored the matches, the information for that will go into the opinion video. My thoughts and my official score will go into the opinion video. The match score for the show, that may go in. It's just going to be a bit tricky because I think the poll will only have been up for a few hours. So I don't know if we will have captured enough data by that point. So that one I'm still a bit unsure about. But I think the opinions thing is great because it means I can talk to you guys away from the streams and we don't have the pressure of more comments kind of coming in or like super chats or anything. I can just really focus on what's being said. So I really like that. There's some very interesting thoughts that come out of it and I think we can flesh that out. So I really like opinions. I know it's not as popular as Unseen. I love Unseen as well. And again, the continued support for that is amazing. We will do another one after this. It's going to take me a while because haven't really had a chance to look at today's stuff, to be honest. So I'm going to have to try and go through all of that. But yeah, we should still have some good stuff for Unseen. I've already got a few bits in there. So Eric, shout out to you. Titan said, Von is crazy stiff when he's acting. His dialogue is sometimes so bad, it seems like a parody. Yeah, I don't think that's unfair, to be honest. I don't think that's unfair. I think that he, to me, is a monster that has got limited acting ability. I think they've really tried to explore bringing out some other emotions from him. And to be honest, that's the kind of thing they should be doing because it's better that he tries and explores it here than go to the main roster and do that. So, you know, they're trying to put him in situations where they've got to bring out different emotions, get him to portray different feelings. And honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing that they're doing. It's just how successful has it been. So I don't know. I think we've probably made a little bit of improvement there, but it is a bit like trying to push water up a hill, isn't it? I think that he has got his strengths. He looks like a monster. I mean, do you just book him as like a wrecking machine? We didn't really worry about Brock having to portray all his different emotions. Why not just put Von Wagner with Paul Heyman, you know, and have Heyman do the talking, have Von Wagner be the next wrecking machine, you know? So, I don't know, it's an interesting one. I can understand them trying to flesh him out and make him a more well-rounded character. How successful that's been, not sure. Right. But shout out to Logan and Riley. We love the content. Riley, shout out to you. Logan and Riley, appreciate it. Kian said, Daze, I hope you are well and have a good stream. I enjoyed the promo between Cody and Seth last night. It was fire. I think it was a good Raw, and I can't wait for NXT. Miss Clown, hello, shout out to you. Christopher said Nikita Lyons needs a push. Jose said, with The Rock in the picture for SmackDown and Drew getting a push, will Damian Priest ever cash in? It's something we have spoke about, and to be honest, he will, but the big question of when is obviously a problem. I think Elimination Chamber is a possibility. I expect Seth to be there in some capacity. I think that WrestleMania is a big possibility. Obviously, the Raw after WrestleMania, I would love for that show to feel like it did back in the past. Raw after WrestleMania just has not felt the same for a long time. So I would love for Raw after WrestleMania to feel special once again. So one of the ways you do that is by having that kind of a moment on it. So I would love for it to go down there. If it didn't go down on the Raw after WrestleMania, then we may be looking at something like a Backlash. I think then maybe there's even a show in June before we get to Money in the Bank. It looks like Money in the Bank's either going to be... Well, it could be like early August. I mean, I would think July is probably SummerSlam. So July, they could do SummerSlam early August, or they could do it in July. I think we would try to do Money in the Bank before SummerSlam. So if we do SummerSlam in July, then that would mean June would be Money in the Bank. So yeah, it's difficult because they actually haven't announced a lot of the premium live events for the rest of this year, and I don't know what's holding it up. I don't know if they're cooking up something special. I don't know if they're working on something special or why it's all not been announced, but we still don't know where SummerSlam is, which to me, considering it's the middle of February, seems a bit crazy that we don't know where SummerSlam is. So I don't know what's happening with all that front. There will be a SummerSlam. I feel very confident about that. But where is it going to be? Word, I think, was Cleveland was rumored. Minnesota and Cleveland is what we've heard for like SummerSlam, WrestleMania 41. So that's the word on the street. We're not expecting London or anything like this. Cleveland, Minnesota are the destinations that have been rumored. Hassan said Elimination Chamber is on next Saturday. Yeah, we're going to do UFC this Saturday. So UFC 298, is it? 298? Quite a big main event, actually. So we're doing that this weekend, and then obviously the week after, Elimination Chamber, which is going to be really weird because it's on a really weird time. And it's one that I think our American friends have got to be up at like 5 in the morning for. Which, as I've said, I think you might have to start getting used to a little bit as we start to kind of branch out around the world a little bit more. I think WWE are going to go more global. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that if you want a very vibrant, exciting WWE, I think there's a whole world out there that we can tap into. We know that the Indian fans in particular are just really into the product. And so if they went to India, I mean, they could sell their biggest stadium like thousands times over. Wasn't it like 40, 60 million that tuned in for WrestleMania in India? I mean, it's amazing. I know it's a big country. I know there's a lot of people that live there, but the support is amazing. So WWE is undeniably a global brand. SummerSlam in the UK, said Wrestle with Andy. Well, that's not what's rumored, but they haven't announced it. I mean, if they do announce SummerSlam in the UK, I would just wonder if they've missed the boat, because you've already announced a show in Germany. You've announced a house show in Italy. You've announced a show in France. So I've got to think that some of those people would be people that would go to a SummerSlam in the UK. I mean, we Andy lives in Scotland, I live in England. We know how easy it is to jump on a plane and get to Germany. Like, us going to Germany would be like you lot traveling from, say, Florida to Texas, right? Or from going from Florida to New York, right? I mean, it's Europe, I suppose, in a way, is it's kind of its own United States, right? Just very different. But my point is, it's quite close. You know, a lot of families in the UK will go to Spain on holiday because it's quite cheap to get there. The sun is there, right? Much warmer than here in the UK. And they've got nicer beaches. And, you know, you can have sangria and, like, have a bit of entertainment on the night time. And it's not a holiday that's going to break the bank. So a lot of people in the UK will go for their holiday in Spain or Portugal or Italy. I mean, you can have if you live in England, you could have a weekend away in Italy. If you live in England, you can have a weekend away in Belgium, in Holland, in Germany, in France. You could go to Paris for the weekend. You could go to Spain. You could go to Norway. You could go to Sweden. You could go to Denmark. I mean, all of Europe is right there for you on your doorstep. But it works the other way as well. You know, if you want to go to London for a weekend, you absolutely could. If you want to go to London, if you want to come to the UK for a weekend and you live in Germany, you live in Spain, you live in Portugal, you live in Italy, you live Belgium, Holland, you could come to the UK and go to SummerSlam. That is no problem. I have to think, even people that went to Clash at the Castle, probably a chunk of them came from Europe. Not all of them were from England or Wales or Scotland or from the UK. So I kind of think that their bash in Berlin and their backlash in France may hurt the ticket sales of a SummerSlam in England, because those people may have spent their disposable income on buying those tickets instead. Can you find enough fans around to fill a stadium and do Bash in Berlin and do the Backlash in France and do house shows across Europe and house shows, I think, for the first time in 5 years, going back to Italy? You know, I don't know. I think that Europe is being catered to by WWE. And I don't know that this would be the year to do a SummerSlam. I sort of feel like if you was going to do a SummerSlam in the UK, I think you'd probably make sure the rest of Europe didn't have too much going on, so that you basically encourage everyone to go to that show, which undoubtedly would be at Wembley. I don't think you'd do a SummerSlam at the O2 Arena, right? You could, but we do stadiums now, don't we, for SummerSlam? And Wembley would be 90,000, so I think that that would be my question mark. They could maybe do Tottenham, which would be a smaller stadium. That would be about 60,000. So you could do Tottenham Stadium, which is a beautiful stadium. I think the NFL have run games at the Tottenham Stadium, so it's a great stadium. It's one of the best in the world. At that kind of 60,000 capacity, it's one of the best in the world. So you could absolutely run it there if you wanted it a little bit smaller. But no, word on the street is Cleveland, Minnesota. But yeah, I mean, we would always welcome with open arms a SummerSlam back to the UK. Life of Daz, shout out to you, said, hey, bud, I just wanted to drop in before NXT starts. Life of Daz, really appreciate it. Hope you are well. And Life of Daz is a member, and we will do another members stream on Thursday. So there is no press event this week to get in the way, so we'll do a member stream on Thursday. Kirby said, Daze, I've got a friend whose mom works in HR at WWE Corporate. Oh, nice contact. In Stamford. The active plan for the main event of night 2 is Cody Roman, with Rock in Roman's corner and Seth in Cody's. Kirby, shout out to you. I love that. Very interesting. Amin said, Daze, I'm sorry I'm late. I was playing video games on my mom's phone. That is fine. Please do not buy any mystery crates. I keep seeing things like that on the news where kids have bought mystery crates on their parents' phones and then they go into thousands of pounds of debt. And honestly, it's not worth it just to get some secret Pokemon, right? It's Bryn again, said, I'm glad to see that Brynley Reese is getting some TV time, but one thing is really getting to me. She needs to give me my name back or I will sue. It's Bryn again, shout out to you. James said, Spurs Stadium. At least you didn't say the empty had. Hey, James, are you excited? I'm excited. I keep hearing about a new stadium for Man United. I keep hearing that they want to make the Wembley of the North. They want to make a Wembley up north, which, you know, Old Trafford, Man United's ground is like, what, 74,000, is it? 76, 77, something like this. 70 something. And it does bug me that it's not 100,000. Like, we do not have in this country a 100,000 seater stadium. And I just feel like Wembley should have always been 100,000. I think it's a statement. I really do. I think if your stadium can seat 100,000 people, it is, you know, eye-catching on a world level. I think anything less than that is like, okay, cool. 90,000, oh, close. That's what when they said Wembley was going to be 90,000, I was like, oh, close. We were close. We're only 10,000 away. Can we not put a few extra rows? Can't be that many rows. Just put a few extra rows. 100,000? Come on. Stop faffing around. I wonder if there's like, to get to 100,000, I wonder if there's like extra red tape that you have to get through, you know? Perhaps it's like harder for some reason. Like, I don't know. There must be a reason why they went 90. There must be a reason. Because 100,000 is right there. It's right there. So I would love for Manchester United to get a 100,000 seat stadium. I don't even care what the rest of the stadium's like, right? It could be garbage, could be made of garbage, just piled up garbage. But if it seats 100,000 people, I'll be thrilled. So I'm very excited at the thought of us getting a new stadium. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to see the old one knocked down, but I'm all about the future, baby. I'm all about progression. I'm all about having the best. Did you see the Allegiant Stadium, the Super Bowl Stadium? That is, I mean, it is beautiful. Do you know, it looks like a spaceship. It's this lovely black in the desert. And it just sort of like, just looks out of place, but in a cool way. Really cool way. It just looks like someone has landed in the desert and you got the cars going past and whatever, and you just got this big black monolith. It's amazing. It's a beautiful, beautiful stadium. And I would love something like that in the UK. I think they say it was like 3 billion. I think we've put aside 280 something million. We've got 280 million at the moment, so we're close, but we're probably not going to get a stadium that good. Life of Dad, shout out to you. James said, yeah, I did hear it. I would directly opposite where we are now, yes. So apparently, you know, I know a lot of people are like, no, don't want to leave that ground. That ground's got so many memories. Totally understand, but it would be on the same land. And then they would actually look to change Old Trafford into something for the women. So I've heard they would try and downscale it a little bit and make it something for the women, something for the academy. And then like a brand new stadium on the same land, which, oh God, I'm so excited. I really hope it happens. I really hope. But the question is, where would we play? And the empty had has been mentioned, but I just can't see people accepting it. I just can't see that being... I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want us going there. And we can't go to Anfield. So then the question is, well, do you go to Wembley? But like, so you can see the problem. Everton's got a new ground. I wouldn't mind Everton. They've got a new ground, haven't they? They're going to need some money. I would be all right with us playing at Everton's ground for a season or two. Their new one on the bank of the, whatever it is. The Mersey. That's it. I wouldn't mind that. Life of Dad said, I'm super hyped after this morning. I got my tickets to see AC/DC in Croke Park, Dublin. €60 worth it. Well, that is worth it, actually. Tickets to see bands are like through the roof. So if you've only spent like €60 to go to see AC/DC, Obviously, I'm guessing you got to pay all the transport and drinks and all that. I get it's expensive, but €60 for a ticket? You can't argue at that in this day and age, buds. James said we should make it 99999. That, honestly, I think I'd lose my mind over that. That would be enough to push me over the edge. I don't know what it is about stadiums. I just absolutely love them. I think I find them so fascinating. And I think that it's partly to do with wrestling. And I think it's because, like, take Andre and Hogan and WrestleMania 3, that stadium, right? The, was it the Super Dome? I'm a bit like Hogan, getting them all confused. He got confused, didn't he, at WrestleMania 30? And he said, oh, sorry, I thought I was back at WrestleMania 3. I know that it's been knocked down now. The stadium that had WrestleMania 3 is no longer there. It got demolished. And actually, I saw some images of it, like, in recent times where it's just wrecked. It was just trashed. It was like, it was absolutely wrecked. And heartbreaking, to be honest. Heartbreaking. Do you know something really weird about that stadium? Massive stadium. I think it could hold like 90,000. And did you know that their basketball team, I don't know where it was, but their basketball team used to play there. I saw a picture of a basketball court taking up about a quarter of the pitch. And there would be like these people sat just close to it and the rest of the stadium was empty. Imagine doing a basketball game in the Allegiant Stadium, right? Or doing it at SoFi Stadium, and the basketball court is like on the pitch, and you've just got like the quarter part where the fans. It was weird, man. Really weird, really strange. But I think stadiums are so fascinating. It's where some of the greatest moments, some of the greatest sporting moments ever take place. They are the modern day Colosseums. And, you know, it's where some of the greatest wrestling moments have ever taken place. It's where some of the greatest football moments have ever taken place. Soccer, but American football as well, of course, with Super Bowls. I just find them absolutely fascinating, and you can do so much of them. You got moving pitches. I mean, there's one in Germany where they've got like this hatch that opens, and then that's where the teams come out. Like their tunnel, like actually like opens up from the ground, and then the teams kind of emerge out of from there. And it's like, man, there's so much stuff that you can do. Have you seen those where they put the beers on the thing and the beer comes in from the bottom as well? In the bars and everything. I love all that. All of that just fascinates me. I wouldn't want to be an architect, but I would love to be part of a design team for a stadium. That's totally up my street. I find them fascinating. The Pontiac Silverdome. That's it, Kevin. Thank you. That's correct. The Pontiac Silverdome. And at WrestleMania 30, he was in the Superdome. The Mercedes Superdome, I think it was at the time. And he called it the Silverdome and said, sorry, I thought I was back at WrestleMania 3. That's correct, yeah. The Pontiac Silverdome. Oh, you can actually go to Hogan's Beach Shop, get a Pontiac Silverdome chair signed by Hulk Hogan, which was obviously the site of WrestleMania 3. I mean, that is something special, isn't it? That is something very special. A seat from the venue, which is no longer there now, from WrestleMania 3. Signed by Hulk Hogan. Now, obviously, it'd be even better if Andre had signed it, but I think Hogan's only got this seat because the stadium's only recently been demolished, you know. Anyway, Alka said AEW could have a show in a swimming pool or above ground pool. It's Bryn again said, what's your top 3 stipulations? For example, Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank. I'm not really a stipulation person, to be honest. I mean, I don't think a Rumble is a stipulation. It's a match type. A stipulation tends to be where you add a stipulation to a match. So like loser leaves WWE or last man standing or something along those lines. I think stipulation wise, I do like loser leaves matches. I'm a real simp for just one-on-one matches. I'm not a big fan of triple threats. I'm not a big fan of fatal four-ways. I just think the more people you add, it does not result in like the match being better. So it's not that a triple threat is better than a one-on-one match. It's not that a fatal four is better than a triple threat. It's not that a 5-pack is better than a fatal four. So for me, I think that there is a place for these matches. I'm not a big fan of them for championships. I think that for a championship, we should be trying to decide who is the best. Surely that's what this comes down to. Who is the best? And I don't think there's a better way of establishing that than one-on-one. So if when it comes to like stipulations, I would say, you know, Hell in a Cell is pretty cool. Ladder match is pretty cool. Because to be honest, it keeps it largely one-on-one. I just love one-on-one matches. Or it keeps it tag. So, you know, cage matches I've always got a soft spot for, because that used to be the ultimate match. Back in the day, you used to have a feud and then it would end with a cage match. A cage match would be the way that your feud would finish. Not always, but if it was really heated, cage match is what would end it. So I've still got that kind of old school mentality of a cage match being like a bloodbath, being like this horrific feud ender. So I have a soft spot for cage matches. I whenever I think ladder match, I think of Shawn and Razor. And I think we don't do enough one-on-one ladder matches. I think there should be more singles matches that involve a ladder, right? And you know what? I know that they overdid it in WCW, but I really think it's been a long time since we had a Summer on a Pole. I think the Summer on a Pole match is something that's been done a lot in wrestling history. Seems to have gone well out of fashion, well out of trend. But I really don't mind the something on a pole match. I can't say it's my favorite, but I love, if the story needed it, I really wouldn't mind that. One of the very first matches I ever saw was Big Boss Man versus Nails, and it was them two battling, and it was a nightstick on a pole. So whoever got the nightstick could use it. So you had a police officer and a prisoner battling against each other, and they were not only fighting, but there was the added element of there is a weapon right there that you can grab and use, but it's just the first one to get it can have it. And I thought that added an extra, again, it's a singles match, but it adds an extra element to it, which I just think is really interesting. The thing with a ladder match is once you grab the item in the ladder match, the match ends, right? So normally it's like a belt, isn't it? And once you grab that, it's done. So the thing with the pole match is when you grab it, the match isn't over. It just means that you can use it. So like the nightstick match I thought was really interesting. So yeah, I think there's a few stipulations that I enjoy. I would say though, for me, anything that keeps it a singles match or anything that keeps it a tag match, that will always be my preference. So and a Royal Rumble, as I said, I don't really see that as a stipulation. I see that as a match type. A stipulation to me is something where you've got a match and then you add the stipulation to turn it into whatever. You know, a Royal Rumble is a Royal Rumble. It happens once a year. Whereas like if you do Cody versus Roman, which we're doing at WrestleMania, they could add the stipulation of turning it into a ladder match, turning it into a cage match, turning it into a Summer on a Pole match, so on, so on, so on. So, yeah, there's a few that I like. But I don't know that I've really got a favorite, to be honest. I've seen good and bad of all of them. I've seen good and bad cage matches, good and bad Hell in Cells, good and bad ladder matches. I've seen good and bad of all of them, so... But I think the good outweighs the bad. So, for example, ladder matches, you know, I've seen a lot of ladder matches, Money in the Banks in particular, that have been okay. But if ever I think of a ladder match, I just can't help but think of Shawn Razor first. It's the first one I think of, and it is such an amazing, historic match. A ladder match, certainly if it was just going to be two people, that would get me very excited. So, more of that, please. Cameron said, Daze, I heard that a certain main roster star is going to show up tonight. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate that, because I don't know. So my day today was I did the Unseen video, and the problem with Unseen on a Monday is that because Raw finishes at 4 in the morning, it takes me now, it used to take an hour, now it takes double, right? Because I get sent so much stuff, and I love you for it, but it does take me longer to sort through it. But I want it because I want Unseen to be the best it can be. So, but the problem is, on a Monday, because it takes a couple of hours to put Unseen together, the video doesn't drop till after 6 in the morning here in the UK. That's after 1 a.m. in America. And that means that a lot of you guys in America have gone to bed by the time the video drops. And a lot of people here in the UK are already in bed. So it services the night owls. The night owls get to it, but everyone else has to kind of catch it the next day. By which point other videos from other channels have been uploaded, and you know, maybe it runs the risk of getting a little bit lost. So I wish I could find a way of the Unseen video dropping sooner, and that is a real problem that I need to try and figure out, and I don't know that we'll ever figure it out, to be honest. I don't know. That's a tricky one. I'd probably have to be doing stuff during streams, which is going to distract me, and that's not going to make for great streams. So that's a challenge. It's a little cheeky challenge, that one. But anyway, as a result, the Unseen videos tend to go up a little later than they normally would following a Monday. So I did that. Then I walked the dog, and then I recorded the opinions video. That's got scheduled to go up later. So, you know, it kind of meant that I went to bed late. So I went to bed later than I usually would, which means I got up later than I usually would. And then I had to do Wrestling Escape Pod. So I am a little bit out the loop today, actually. I've seen the headlines, the top end, and a quick scan through my notifications, but I don't know of any major stars that are going to be on the show tonight. If there is going to be someone, it's going to be a surprise, and that is no bad thing. I like surprises. Not always. Actually, I don't. Thinking about it, I hate them. But no bad thing in this case. So NXT is around about 6 minutes away. So Cameron, shout out to you. Brandon said, I don't like the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns match. Well, yeah, I think that is the direction we're going. I mean, what I would say to those that wanted The Rock, I would say that you were getting it, but public opinion changed it. If you want to change it back, that is your mission. if you want to try, I think WWE are open, but you are going to have to get the majority of people on your side. You're going to have to do what the Cody movement just did, right, in order to achieve that. And I just don't think that the support is there. I think there's a lot of Rock fans. I've no doubt about that. But the thing is that I don't think you're going to get the casual fans joining in your campaign. I think that the wrestling fans seem to be with the majority with Cody. So WWE are going to give the majority of the wrestling fans the match they want. And I think the massive match that would bring in the casual fans, I think you still get that. I just think you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. I don't think it's WrestleMania. We're not seeing the conversation be Rock, Roman, Cody. You know, that was the conversation probably about a week ago. We said it would be fair if they did both matches. How funny, don't you think it's funny that we're hearing a lot about a potential tag match on night 1 and then Roman and Cody on night 2? So Roman is going to have to work both nights. Like, how? And Cody doesn't have to work both nights. Is it really only Seth is the reason why we can't give people the 2 matches they want? Is that the reason? Like, why are they not able to do Rock Roman night 1 and then do Roman Cody night 2? What is stopping that from happening? And if anyone said, well, it's because they don't want Roman wrestling twice, well, I would counter that by saying, but the rumors going around are that it's either Rock versus Seth or it's going to be the tag match. And that if it is the tag match, then that's going to require Roman wrestling twice. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have them wrestling twice if we really don't have to. I think you do get Rock Roman. I just think you have to wait a little bit for it. And I can't really answer as to why they're making you wait if they're going to do the tag match and have Roman wrestle twice anyway. Don't know, it's weird, and it's just, to be honest, I think we're just going down roads that have not been planned. I think we're going down roads and we're just kind of playing it by ear, and we're doing what we think is the right thing. And I think they heard the crowd, and you've got to say that crowd on Monday were very, very we want Cody. There was nothing about what we saw on Monday that suggests they're going down the wrong road now. So I think they're doing the right thing. We don't know what the main event of night one is yet, but I would say the Cody match is the right path to go down. Roman has got it in his contract. He can only work once every 3 weeks, said Zerlak. That's interesting. Alka said Bailey should main event night one. If not, what's the point of the Rumble? It's Bryn again, said, my mom used to be a fan of WWE. Should have heard her reaction to The Rock still being used in WWE. I had to tell her his age and she was shook. She was shook. Johnny, shout out to you, said, I'm back from my vacation. I missed you guys. How is everyone? How are you doing, Daze? I'm good, Johnny. I'm glad that you're back. And I'm glad that you had a good time. So, shout out to you, Johnny. We're good. We're still reacting to the wacky world of wrestling, and there's plenty for us to react to. Obviously, there's been plenty going down in the wrestling world. Feels like we're on the verge of something monstrous, right? Feels to me like we are really on the verge, the precipice of something absolutely huge. I can't see any way that show on Friday does not do bonkers ratings, right? Because you've got Rock and Roman advertised. The message has gone out. Normally when The Rock shows up, he does it as a surprise, right? That's how he's been doing it, so that they can get that pop, that reaction. They don't need that pop and reaction now. They don't want it. They want Rock to be seen as a heel. So they've announced it in advance. So word has got out. Tune in to SmackDown. The Rock is going to be on the show with Roman. Obviously, we heard Triple H's comments on SmackDown last week. We heard what Cody and Seth had to say. There's plenty for Rock and Roman to respond to. You know that's going to be a monstrous segment. That's going to be a huge segment. And no football. No football. There is no football competition as well. Last week's SmackDown, did it not do 2.5 million, 2.57, something like this, nearly 2.6. It is an absolutely monstrous number that they drew last week. And now this week we've got Rock and Roman. So this, I mean, honestly, I'm even thinking of starting even earlier, which is mental, right? I mean, we start 2 hours before anyway, but I just think that if there's gonna be a show, a SmackDown, that we would do that for, it would probably be this one, because this is one that's got Rock and Roman. Ideally, you would want Cody on there as well. He's not scheduled for that show. He puts his schedule out online, and he was not scheduled for that show. Of course, they could always chuck a bit of money at him and get him to go. I'm sure he would go. This is what his career is built to. Everything is built to this moment for him. So I think he would definitely go, but he's not advertised for being there at the moment. Right, we should be live, but I don't have any coverage yet. Let's see. It says stand by for a live broadcast. Now it's starting. Matt, shout out to you. Matt's Carney says the line and the dot, allowing things to run their course and also intelligently seeing them for what they are now. Where do you tend to lean? The line and the dot, allowing things to run their course and also intelligently seeing them what they are now. So is this a conversation about letting things play out, or seeing, like, you know, living in the moment type thing? We've got Noam and we've got Oro backstage. They're getting ready for their match with Von Wagner and Mr. Stone. They said it's going to be easy checks. Here's Robert Stone and Von Wagner. Don't really need them yelling sneak attack as they run into the room and start beating up Oro and Noam. I mean, I know that Metaphor are a comedy group, but yeah, now we've got the kids. This is a little bit... Okay. Well, we're starting with a brawl. So we've got Noam and we've got Von, and we've got these two teams brawling. We've got Lash and Jakara. So is this match just going to get straight underway? Bell has sounded and we are underway. So Noam Dar and Oro Mensah against Von Wagner and Mr. Stone. So this is a match that Mr. Stone has been hyping up all week. And he comes crashing down onto Oro Mensah. So yeah, Matt, just to go back to your point, again, I'm going to say what I always say to your comments, I think. And that is that it's a bit of both, isn't it? You know, there's no one size fits all. And I do find that with a lot of your kind of questions is that the answer remains the same. It's not a one size fits all. You know, in this regard with Roman and Cody, I wasn't willing to let it play out because I had heard enough that Roman was the plan and that they weren't deviating from that. And so it felt like now was your time to make your voice heard. And if you let it play out, you was going to get Rock versus Roman, which is what a lot of people didn't want. So that's why I was so engaged in that movement. I think it took me by surprise as well how much I was tweeting out about it. And it was because of that. It's because I had heard what the dirt sheets had said. I believed that we were heading to Rock Roman, and I believed that if we stayed quiet and let it play out, then our voices wouldn't be heard. But the voices were heard, and it worked, and it showed that we do have the ability with this new company. I don't know that it would have worked with Vince, but with this new company, we do have the ability to have a movement and make ourselves heard. Might not work all the time, but it worked this time. So in regards to this occasion, I was happy to do that. But there'll be times where, you know, you will let something play out, you know, like this Sammy situation. So Sammy's on a losing streak. I think he's lost his last 12 matches. As a Sammy fan, I could be very, very upset about it, right? I could be very upset about it, and I could be like kicking off online. But at the moment, there's nothing to suggest that Sammy is being buried, right, permanently. He's clearly losing, but I don't think he's being buried. I think that they're just setting him up for the good stuff that's about to come. So that is an example of where I would let it play out because I feel confident that they're showcasing him enough that there's a plan, there's a strategy. We're going to be all right. If you're a Sammy stan, stick with this because I think good things are on the horizon. I don't know that. I haven't read that. It's just a feeling that I think I and many, many, many others have got that, you know, they're building up Sammy for something good. So I'm happy to wait on this one. And if it turns out I'm wrong, well, then, you know, we can make noise in the future. But I'm happy to let that play out. But I wasn't willing to let Rock Roman play out because that is, you know, it was different. I'd heard information that I didn't like. So, again, it's not one size fits all. I think you just have to play each one as they arise. Sometimes you would let it play out. Sometimes you would make some noise. Here's the tag. Von Wagner comes in. Amy, shout out to you, said, Daze, I'm excited for Friday. I'm pleased to hear that, bud. I think we all are, and we all should be. It's going to be a big, big show. Right, we are underway with Von and Noam. Sammy is going to keep losing till Money in the Bank. That's when he'll get the briefcase in Canada, said James. What about the Bex promo? What about the Bex promo was cringe awful, said Frank. I thought Nia was bad in that. I didn't have a problem so much with Becky. I thought her line about Maui was quite fun and actually was well received by social media. But I thought Nia, where she was trying to pretend to cry and was very clearly pretending to cry, you could tell straight away that she was not being genuine. But it just kind of kept going. I think if she'd have come out and had done it a little bit and then snapped into what she wanted to say, but the fact it just kept going and going and she kept saying stuff, it was just like, oh God, please stop this. It's not achieving what you want it to achieve. It's not fooling me into thinking you're being serious because your acting is so bad that I'm not being fooled by this. I don't think that you've now turned lovely, right? I know what you're doing, and you're doing it badly. So please cut it shorter. And it just went on that bit too long. So yeah, I was not a fan of the Nia part of the promo. Chop block there by Oro as Von goes down, and Noam goes for the pin on Von, and as a result, it is a victory. It's a victory for Noam and Oro, and Mr. Stone has lost. His kids will be bullied at school. That kid is always there, man. I keep seeing that kid's. Is the modern day Izzy. Right, let's get your scores, shall we? Your match score. What did you think of that encounter? It was not the longest encounter we've seen. Edward, shout out to you. Daze, thanks for a good night, bud. It means a lot. No worries. I thought you did a really good job. Thought it was fun. Thought some good moments on the WEP, so glad you enjoyed yourself, Edward. James said, Prince Mila, it was obvious he was AEW bound. It didn't take a rocket scientist to know this. Zulak said, I am just happy it was a quick tag match. Becky's promo was great. What are we on about, says James. Rando said, I think Sammy somehow makes it into the match at Mania. Some way, somehow. Nia pretending to cry wasn't needed, said SQRL. Short but solid match. I'm surprised Von lost again. Kieran, shout out to you. Do not say Izzy, said Shaki. I got mixed feelings about Izzy, to be honest. I think that, you know, she's a young girl trying to make it in the wrestling worlds. And she's trying to get attention, of course, because she's trying to get famous, trying to be a famous wrestler. I don't know what it is. There's something about her that I just find... I don't know what it is. I mean, I know her parents got caught up in a bit of a controversy around MSK. Do you remember that? Apparently, MSK made some comments about Izzy and the parents. And as a result, they started to get the crowd to boo MSK, even though they were baby faces. There became this really weird rivalry, a really weird kind of thing. And I don't know if it's just a bit of a hangover of that that's just kind of got me a bit like, don't know. She's a young kid who, you know, just deserves to be supported, really. But there is something that kind of makes me a bit, I don't know, something. I don't find myself like, go on, girl, go on, you know? And I can't tell you why. I don't know why. I can only put it down to that MSK thing. I can only put it down to that. And that wasn't her fault. That was her parents. That was her parents. I don't even know if I'd heard, and I really don't know, right? But there's something that, like, I've got a feeling that they have not been great people, or they've not been nice people, or there's been some rumors that they have been a bit off with superstars and they've been a bit off with people. I think it's that. I think it's that. I saw that she got attacked by, like, Thunder Rosa. She's in, like, Thunder Rosa's Mission Pro promotion. So they're doing a little storyline angle there. Yeah, don't know. I think it's that. Edward said, Daze, it goes to show how much of a genuine guy you are, how down to earth you are, how supportive you are. I am amazing, Edward. You're right, bud. Yeah. Edward, you're welcome anytime. And I already know that James is going to absolutely love that comment. Because we all know that secretly James feels the exact same. I'll read it again. I'll read it for James. Edward said, please read all days. Okay, no worries. It also goes to show how much of a genuine guy you are, and how down to earth you are, and how supportive to us you are. Love you forever, my guy. Edward, that's lovely. And I speak on behalf of everyone in this community when I say that everyone literally feels the same. Literally everyone on the same page with that. I don't know what it is about. Here's James. Edward, take your head out of Daisy's ass. Pretty sure that other streamers would just take the compliment and move on. I like to have fun with it. William, shout out to you, said, what's happening with Nikita Lyons? Is she going to the main roster by the time the draft starts? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think she's still too green for me. She is coming up to 1 million followers, subscribers on Instagram or something. So, I mean, you guys, eh? You guys. Yeah, I know why you're following her. You know why you're following her. Oh, you like to see her training footage, do you? Yeah, you like to see her training footage. Really like her striking. Yeah, think she's something special. And you want to watch her training. Yeah. 1 million people. I mean, you can't really ignore that, can you? In all fairness, but yeah, wrestling wise, she just looks too green to me still. So I'm really not a fan. I don't see it. I see good kicks. I see a sassy woman, and I would much rather watch a Kalani Jordan. I would much rather watch a Lyra Valkyria, right? She doesn't do it for me, but she is very popular, and I think we can all understand why she's popular with William. He's probably accounting for 200,000 of them million accounts. Right, look, we're going to chase you. The podium has been returned. They should be acknowledging you, says Edward. Well, you know, I agree, mate, but, you know, these people. The MVP trophy is back. Welcome to Andre Chase University. We went through some dark clouds. We made it out the other side. Thanks to JC Mother Jane. We're back and we are better than ever. JC. She's loving it. Thea said, I'm off to talk to Riley because we've got a date. Oh, no, there is. What's happening here? There is. What's this? Rizzo. The girl I've been looking for. Big night. I got places to be. I love this girl. Calendar sales were above projections, so the Riz has got a nice bag of money. I'll speak to the Don. I'll see what I can do. JC said, can you get Tony to get a title shot sorted? That's a wild little dress thing that Thea's got on, isn't it? Well, there we go. Interesting. Chase, you are back. Everything is good. The Riz has got a bag of money. And she is going to go off and ask for a tag title match. Controversy creates cash, says Alka. Who do you think's going to win Elimination Chamber, said some dead bub. I think it's the obvious, Becky and Drew. I mean, I don't think people are saying different to that. So Becky and Drew is what I am expecting. I would have Becky win the women's and Drew win the men's. Right, let's end the poll. So our first match, which was Metaphor against Vaughn and Mr. Stone. So we are underway 3-on-1 right now. A gauntlet match. Ridge Holland against Gallus. So let's jot these down. And boom. Thank you. How do we do a gauntlet match? Do we have to rate each individual segment or just the gauntlet match as a whole? Oh, we've not encountered this yet, have we? How do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do this? That is tricky, isn't it? Perhaps we do it as a whole. Perhaps we do it as a whole. Because if we try and do each individual one, that might be a nightmare. Hey, it's the dude in the crowd with a wolf dog shirt. 9% of you need to watch some classic WWE. Yeah, there was 9 that thought that last match was all time. I mean, look, I love you guys, but that is wild. But it's fine because that sort of happens with each of them, so it, you know, it keeps it in check, it keeps it in line with the other results we've received. Do it as a whole, said Shaquem. I think you're right, buds. I think you're right. James said, Liv ain't going to win the chamber. There's no way we do Liv Rhea. It ain't bigger than Becky Rhea. I think Liv could get into it. There is a possibility that becomes a triple threat. But, yeah, I agree with James that Becky Rhea is WrestleMania. Who do you think will win the main event of Stand and Deliver? What is the main event of Stand and Deliver? Makes it, without knowing what the match is, it makes it quite difficult. I mean, is it going to be Ilya Trick again? Is it going to be Carmelo Trick? Is it going to be Ilya against someone else that's the main? I don't even know. They haven't announced it. We're still a distance away from it. They haven't announced it, have they? I haven't missed an announcement as to what the main event is. Daze, Chase, you have paid off the debts. And Adriano Rizzo has got money for being in the calendar. It's still a bad storyline that didn't lead to nothing right now. Maybe JC will steal the school, says A. Jobson. Maybe she will. I think, to be honest, they did it because I think what they were hoping for was a much bigger fan reaction. I did see they were trying to get the hashtag #SaveChaseU to land, but I don't think they really communicated it very well. I think they could have made it a bit more obvious that they wanted people to really rally behind, you know. But the thing with We Want Cody is that is meant to be a message that Triple H received. Who are we meant to be sending Save Chase U to? Who's meant to be seeing that? You know, so I think they were trying to like get people to be sad and disappointed that Chase U was going away, and try and get like a bit of a groundswell for it. Maybe they were thinking this can then lead to the calendar. I reckon the calendar did sell some numbers, and that is money in WWE's pocket. And it's quite clever if you think about it, because we don't normally see them selling merch related to a storyline other than, say, a shirt. You know, Cody Crybabies is going to be related to this storyline, but a calendar to actually raise money to save a university on a TV show is, I thought, quite interesting. That's a very interesting marketing tactic. You know, buy this to save the university. And obviously they make money, real money, from that as well. And the fans get a real item in the post connected to a storyline. Imagine if, like, Walking Dead did something like this. Imagine if they had the ability to, you know, buy this to help such and such raise money. Imagine if in The Walking Dead there was some woman that decided she needed money and she was going to try and sell some, I don't know, product that she was making, some perfume or something from rose petals or something, and you could go online to buy the rose petal perfume that she was making because she was trying to raise money to get to the safe haven. All right, that would be quite interesting for TV shows to do that. You could potentially do that in between seasons, because obviously TV shows aren't live. But she could, you know, make the rose petal perfume at the end of a season. It could drop onto the AMC website store, and then like they could actually sell that product. And then of course, you know, when it starts back up, she's made X amount of money, and she can now go off. I actually think that it was a very interesting marketing thing, and I did wonder if they would do it more going forward. Like, you know, would it be a case of like, we need to raise money, we need to make money, please buy this to help the story progress? Do you know what it is? It's in-app purchases. It's in-app purchases. We're basically bringing those in-app purchases from mobile games to TV shows now. The only difference is, I don't think if you buy it or don't buy it, it would actually affect the story. Imagine if it did. Imagine if the calendar didn't sell, we take the story that way. But if it does hit its target, we go this way. Imagine that. Wild. Wrestling Andy said, imagine in the 90s if you could buy Shawn Michaels chaps to help him find his smile. Very good. Very good. Cheer up, Shawn. Hey, do you remember they did that, actually? Do you remember when Earthquake squashed Hulk Hogan back in the early 90s? They actually said, and this was another example of this kind of thing, they actually said, send Hulk Hogan a get wish card. Send Hulk Hogan a get wish cards. This is the address. Hogan's been squashed, is out of action. If you want to send him like a best wishes, get well soon card, send it to this address. And people did. Lots of people did. And what was amazing is that they were getting all these cards, and they were getting people to put their addresses, and they were putting the information, the data. It's bad. I mean, it's cheeky, but they were getting people's information, putting them into a thing, into a list. So now they can send you a catalog in the post. So if they want to, like, they know where you live and that you are a wrestling fan. So without you even doing anything, here's our catalog. There might be some stuff in here that you might enjoy, that you might want to buy. And they did that back in the early 90s with Hogan and Earthquake and Get Well Soon cards. Amazing, isn't it? You wouldn't get away with that now, but amazing. Rich Holland gets past Wolfgang, and we are on to our next match. This is Mark Coffey, I believe. So we was at commercial break. Do you remember being able to win a house live? Yes, win a house within your house. That's right. That's right. They gave it away to a kid who ended up selling it, I believe. So he just sold it, got the money for it. But they did give away a house for in the first in your house. We almost purchased weight belts, or Cody won't finish the story. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? I wonder if that is going to be the future, where it is a case of like Cody needs to raise enough money to enter into the #1 contenders match. You know, it costs X amount. Cody's broke. He's down on his luck. We've got to help him raise this money. Buy your like special t-shirt to help Cody raise money, and if it doesn't hit a certain target, he does not get into the match. I wonder, I mean, I would hope that there would be a backlash against that, but that is what they've just done. Not if it doesn't reach a certain level, but they have just done that, and it's been well received. Of here's a calendar from a storyline, right? That's trying to save a unit. Buy it now, save the university, right? So they have just done that. They haven't gone as far as to say if it doesn't hit a certain amount, the university won't be saved, and then, you know, go down an alternative path. I mean, the university has been saved on this occasion, but it's not much of a jump. It's not much of a step to have a target and have them talk about that target on the show and say where it is. And if it doesn't get there, the university is dead. That really is not much of a jump from where we are at all. So I don't know. I think it's been very, very interesting to see how they've gone about marketing this calendar, all joking aside. We've seen outside interruption there by Joe Coffey, so that's the end of the Mark Coffey match. Rich Holland gets back into the ring. This fund a wrestler booking to determine storylines sounds like something Virgil would come up with. Oh well, Virgil's after any kind of money. He's not in a bad way he's not in a good way at the moment, though, is he? He's apparently been suffering from a series of strokes. Right, this thing is completely broken down. Right now, Gallus are all battling away on Ridge. Ridge trying to deal with all three members. He's got a chair right now. He's walloping the Kofis. Smash to the midsection there of Wolfgang. Joe Coffey getting walloped. He goes down. Gallus getting absolutely battered by Ridge and a chair. He puts the chair down. He doesn't like what he sees. Ridge slumps. Sits on that bottom turnbuckle. What have I done? What have I done? What have I become? Who am I? I don't even recognize myself anymore. And that is the end of the gauntlet match. We're already half an hour into this show. Lexis King is backstage. Get out of here now, says Von. He's backstage with Von and Robert Stone. Matt, shout out to you, said in regard to the fan backlash to an unpalatable storyline, could see too much too often, meaning it paralyzes creative allowance of the writers. I think Lexis King said, when my music starts playing, grab those little brats, watch and learn. So a few words there for Robert Stone. Here's Lola Vice. Lola Vice making her way down to the ring. Who's she facing? Tatum. She got me a big star, man. big star. Yeah, Matt, I think you're right. I think that we're in a dangerous situation. I think it was right this time, though, because I think it was too important. It was the main event of WrestleMania 40. I mean, how amazing. The fans changed the main event of WrestleMania 40. So I think for this, it's right. But WWE can't bend to every... I mean, if it's going to be as loud as what it was, you know? I mean, this was loud. You know, they trended all over the weekend. He trended for days. As you said, he trended all day Saturday. He trended all day Sunday. It was only the Grammys that knocked him off. So I kind of feel like this was a very clear message of, no, you're doing the wrong thing. This is not what we as a fan base want. And WWE heard. I would think, though, that in the future, there will be maybe not as many occasions where the fan base is as united. Even this one, the fan base was split, but it was still so loud for Cody that the message was received. But I think there'll be others where this is attempted, right? And I don't think it'll be as successful because I don't know if everyone will be as united as what they were on this. If they are, then it's going to be very interesting. If we do get another We Want Cody moment where the fans are as united and are as loud about the direction that they want to go in, it will be interesting to see how WWE responds to that. Because you're right, this story, it doesn't make a great... Well, it does make sense, and it can be explained, but they haven't done... If we're going to be really critical, they haven't done the best job of explaining it. They've done a very good job, but I don't think... And you could say a great job, but I don't think they've done a perfect job of explaining it. We still don't know why Cody stepped aside, right? We still don't know why he stepped aside. And whilst that explanation has still not been given, to me, that is the missing piece of this puzzle at the moment. But I think, and also, I would still love to have it fleshed out more as to why, you know, this is built on disrespect. It's built on disrespect. And I didn't see a great deal of disrespect. You know, The Rock says, if you disrespect our family, if you F around, then you will find out. And it's like, well, where was the disrespect? All Cody said was that your grandparents would be ashamed of you after what you've done, right? And what The Rock and Roman had done is they had basically decided the main event of WrestleMania themselves when it was actually Cody's decision. But you can also make the argument that Cody had already said, I'm not going to face you, Roman, at WrestleMania. So if you really want to get nitpicky, he had already told them, I'm not facing you, Roman, at WrestleMania. So if he said that, how wrong was Rock to take the ball and how wrong was Roman to take the ball and run with it? How wrong were they to do that? Because they had already been told by Cody, I'm not facing you at WrestleMania. So, you know, that hasn't been answered. The explanation hasn't been answered. So we can't say this story is perfect. Can't say it's perfect. Not when we've still got these glaring holes. I don't get the disrespect thing as well because, you know, Cody is saying your grandparents would be ashamed of you. Okay, he got slapped for that. But it continued after that, didn't it? It continued after that. And I think there's probably a bit of embarrassment in there. But again, I'm having to speculate. It could be that The Rock feels embarrassed that he's in that situation. But that would be Cody's fault for being indecisive. And he was indecisive. And he seemed to lean this way, then go that way. So Cody has to take a bit of the blame. So the story is not the strongest story that I've seen. It's clearly changed and pivoted. I don't think they've done the best they could of explaining it because there's still holes. And so I agree with you. I think it was right it changed this time because it's too important. But it does show that if it pivots, they're not brilliant at plugging all the gaps. They're not as good as what you would want them to be honest. Unless these answers are still coming, but from Cody already. You know, we should have got the explanation already. We got No Quarter Catch Crew backstage. They were touching the Heritage Cup. We plan on winning that. Whenever you're done messing around, we're not messing, we're winners. Right, here comes Tatum Paxley then. Right, let's end the poll. I don't want to get all mixed up. So the gauntlet match. I don't know that it blew people's minds. Where are we? We got 61% okay. Great was 11. 9 was all time. Bad was 18. Ooh. Yeah, we're 37 minutes in and the show has been so-so. Let's see what Tatum and Lola can do. Kappa Owen said, Tatum is the best and will be a big Star Daze, said Kappa. So Kappa is really into Tatum Paxley. Okay, here we go then. Referee gets us underway. Lola Vice taking Tatum Paxley down, throwing in some shots. Going underneath. She's a lot... I think that Lola's striking is just as good as Nikita's. I do find Lola to be a bit quicker, a bit more dynamic, a bit more explosive. Kick out there and look straight into a rear naked choke. Tatum rolls out of it. Lola gets up to her feet. Big strike coming in there by Tatum. Lola goes down. Elbow drop by Tatum. Kick out by Lola. Lola gets up to her feet, goes over to the corner. Knees coming in there by Lola. Kick coming in by Lola as well. Lovely axe kick. Lola with some knees coming into the midsection. Down goes Tatum. Lola going for the cover. 1, 2. Kick out. Do you know what I think's really interesting about Lola as well? It's not something we've spoke about, but her ring gear. I'm so used to women wrestlers like having their asses out, basically. Lola, I mean, obviously it's tight fitting, but, you know, it's going to be. But, you know, she's fairly covered, certainly from the waist down. I know that there's, you know, not loads on top, but I think she could have gone with a different attire, to be honest. I actually wouldn't have minded if she had had, like, shorts, like that exact thing, but it didn't go all the way down. It was like shorts. I seem to remember Alundra Blaze having something like that. That it looked like, sort of like a singlet, you know? That tends to just go down the thigh as well, doesn't it? Here's Lyra Valkyria. She's come out to offer some encouragement to Tatum Paxley. Gets the ropes. Lola going for a shot. Tatum moves out the way. It's got a bit more. It's got an energy to it, you know. Drop kick there by Tatum. Tatum with a kick to the midsection. Kick upstairs. Lola. Lovely and screwy. Lola goes down to her knees. Tatum is looking to charge over. Neck breaker around the houses. Lovely kick there by Lola. Goes for another kick. Tatum moves out the way. Roll up by Tatum. 2. And Lola gets back up to her feet. Oh, man. Scrap that. Her kicks are better than Nikita's. She is a former MMA fighter. So she is MMA trained. And to a very high level. Oh, man. That spinning back fist. 1, 2. Kick out by Tatum. I don't think she should have kicked out of that. That spinning back fist was absolutely... Look at this. Lola just grabbing the head of Tatum. Kick to the head. Tatum goes down. 1, 2. Oh, foot on the rope, man. Tatum, she will not get put away. She was completely out, but somehow she got her foot on the rope. Lovely submission holds. like a head scissor. It's like a triangle. An inverted triangle. Lovely. Look at that. She's trying to get to the ropes, but she can't get to it. She's super close. She's really close, and she has to tap. I gotta tell you, man. Good contest. Two people really, really battling to get the win. Lots of good striking. Lovely little submission move at the end. I love Lyra coming down, trying to encourage. Look at this. Lyra's got Tatum in her arms. Lola Vice is a killer. She's got submissions. She's got striking. I mean, what she lacks is obviously a little bit in the selling. She lacks a little bit in the wrestling basics. You know, we're not seeing like loads of drop kicks from her. Clotheslines, you know, the missile drop kicks. We're not seeing like some of the pretty standard wrestling moves out of her. It's a lot of standing, waiting, striking, spin kicks, spinning back fists. She really does use her MMA background a lot, leans onto it a lot. But oh my god, you know that she's improving and getting better all the time. She is going to be something very, very special. Here's the Riz. No fear tonight, boys. No fear tonight, boys. Mitchell, shout out to you, buds. I will get to you in 1 second, my friend. Let me put up the match score for that last match, which definitely improved the show for me. And I'm not saying that because I'm a simp. I just thought it was a good match. And also, I am a simp. It's stand and deliver season. Stand and deliver season. Right, we got the Riz taking on Jada Parker. That match coming up next. Women's wrestling, man, it gets such a bad rep. You get so many people going, oh, women's wrestling, it doesn't do anything for the ratings. Listen, this show's been saved by women's wrestling tonight for me. Yeah. Right, Mitchell. Shout out to you, my friend. Hope you're doing well, buds. I'm doing good, thank you. Hope you've had a good day. The unseen and opinion videos have been great to watch. They are fun contributing to them as a member of the community. What match are you looking forward to most at the Chamber? Well, Mitchell, I would say thank you. First of all, for, I mean, just your continued support in general, but Mitchell not only supports with super chats and is very active in the chat, but always looks to provide stuff for Unseen, always provides thoughts, opinions in the opinions videos, and it is greatly appreciated because I think we've said, haven't we, for the longest time, we've tried to find just something to support the streams. We said this the other day. So those, the opinion videos, those I don't worry about from a view perspective, right? Those for me are, it's my way of kind of interacting with more of you. We get stuck into some pretty big conversations, which I don't regret because I think in order for us to get to some of the points that we get to, we have to stay on a conversation for a while. Like, I wish we could just get to the gold, the good bits, the good points, the interesting facts or whatever. I wish we could get there a bit quicker, but sometimes they just naturally come out in a conversation. So I think we've actually got to some very interesting conversations and made some interesting points and thrown some things around because we do stick into conversations. But the downside of doing that is that I don't get to as many of you in the chat as I would like to. And I feel like the opinion videos are just a great way of interacting with as many of you as want to leave a comment on that post, right? So I love the opinion videos for that. I don't really worry about the views on those, but they've been really well received anyway, so that's amazing. And I think to support those, as we said, we can put the match information into them. We can maybe put the show scores into them. We can put a little bit of a review into them. I think there is just a whole world of potential with those opinion videos, which I really am into fleshing out. And with the unseen videos, they just tend to do well anyway. I think we know what they are now. I think there's still a bit of work that can be done on them. I think they, you know, I don't know if there's like little tweaks, little changes we can make, but they're sort of there or thereabouts, you know. The feedback's been fantastic, and people say they really see them as a bit of their kind of schedule. Like, you know, they wake up in the morning, they check to see if one's there, or just before they go to bed, they check to see if one's there. And that's really cool. It kind of puts the pressure on making it a daily thing, I will admit. But the truth is, I won't do it unless I feel like there's some good stuff to do it for, you know? So I wouldn't take for granted the fact they're daily at the moment. Really, if I look and there's just bits and there's not really anything worth it, then there's a good chance we won't do it that day. But it's been so mental in the wrestling worlds. It's been worth doing every day. And I'm sure there'll be stuff for today following NXT. But that to the side, what match am I most looking forward to? It's probably going to be the men's elimination chamber. I think the women's looks to me like it's going to be Becky. I think the men's is Drew, but we could always swerve. And, you know, we are potentially going to see Seth challenge the winner at the show. If that rumor is not true, well, then we are potentially sorting out the main event of night one. You know, it could be that that's the main event of night one. So I feel like the men's chamber has got a lot going for it. Right, we've got Shotzi. She's come and having a word with Lyra next week. So is this going to be Lyra? Okay. So Shotzi, Lyra next week. You'll be walking into Elimination Chamber empty-handed. So next week we've got Shotzi and we've got Lyra Valkyria. So that should be good. That should be fun. I'm into that. She's someone that comes back a bit, actually, Shotzi. I can't say I'm too surprised to see her. She tends to come back for, like, the Halloween Havoc things, you know? She'll come back for Halloween Havoc. She's been, like, guest host a couple of times, I think. So, yeah, okay. Down for that. Do you think Drew resigns? I think so. I think I'd heard a rumor he had, to be honest. Right, let's go down. Simple explanation. Cody said he was manipulated by The Rock to say he won't face Roman at Mania, but then came to his senses. Yes. I agree it can be explained. But we're still having to make up our own explanation. You know, I'd like to hear what exactly was said. What did he say exactly? What was it that made him step aside? How far did he go? I mean, The Rock could have really said, you don't stand a chance. I love you, Cody, but you are just nowhere near good enough. You know, that bloodline needs to be ripped apart. You know, you need to step aside. You need to, like, was The Rock really laying it on, you know? Did The Rock see an opportunity to main event WrestleMania and really grab it? Or, you know, was it a bit more like he was looking out for Cody? I mean, now the way that you would tell the story is, I'm sure you would go as far as you can to make The Rock look as bad as possible, you know? But I would still like to hear what was exactly said. Right, the Riz is taking off her earrings. Don't know why she was wearing any anyway, but they're clip-ons, so it didn't really matter. The Riz coming over. She's got Jada in the corner. The Riz throwing in these shots. The Riz looking for a suplex. One. I just don't think we're presenting the Riz right. I really don't think we're presenting the Riz right. I think the Riz to me is this, like, mafia girl. Do you know what I mean? She's this mafia girl. She's got the accent. She's with Tony. Seeing her come out, like, I don't think the attire feels right. I don't think her presentation feels right. She should be pretty dirty. She should be like anything goes. She should be not doing these nice suplexes, you know? I kind of feel like her presentation needs to be anything goes. I'm going to mess you up. I'm here to, you know, she should be more interested in messing this girl up, really, than winning, I would say. So her doing, like, trying to do nice suplexes and do these nice moves and whatever, I get it. I mean, you do have to kind of balance her development with her gimmick. So I do understand there is a balancing act there, but I don't know. Maybe we could practice that and do that more on the house shows. Here, she just feels a bit like another wrestler. She's getting back up to her feet. She's throwing in some shots to the midsection. Knee coming into the midsection. Inside cradle by the Riz. The Riz gets back up to her feet. Duck underneath. Shot there by the Riz. Riz going over. Grabbing Jada. Shot. That's nice. I like that. That's the move I want. That kind of a move. I love that. So she grabbed her in a headlock. Looked like she was going to do a suplex, but she actually just kind of cranked it a little bit. Exposed the side of Jada. Threw in these nasty little shots into the side. And I want her trash talking at that point. Right? Do you know who you're messing with, Jada? Do you know who I am? Like, kind of a thing. I want that from the Riz. But I love that. She should definitely keep that as like a signature move. Get the head, crank it over, expose the... Really dig it in. That as well. You know when they just have the finger just a little bit where they grind it in? Torture. Do you know what I mean? She should be about torture. Really like grinding it into the... Riz, call me. I got some ideas. I got some thoughts for you, love. It's a win for... Jada, unfortunately, she puts Riz away. Let's get the match score. So the Riz defeated, disappointed, but lives to fight another day. Jada Parker getting the dub. Right, we're backstage with Dijak. You can vote right now on that match. Here's Dijak. He's watching his confrontation with Elia. The mask in the NXT logo. We pointed that out, obviously, last week. It was quite obvious. And we got Dijak going over. There was Gacy with a boxing glove on a stick, which... I don't understand. I mean, if Gacy was being presented as the new Doink, that would make sense. That could be fun if, you know, if we went down that sort of Joker road. So have him with a bit of clown makeup, but maybe just like a bit Darby Allin. It's half the face and it's smudged. You could do that with Gacy. That could be fun. Here's Mello. Daze, I think she needs better gear. She's solid on the mic, but she does need more wrestling moves in her arsenal, says A. Jobson. Malik said, you know when people vote for good okay, that means it's bad. No, I think it's just passable. I think it's just, it was okay. I mean, I would say that last match was, I'd probably go good okay. I think bad is bad. But I think for me, good okay is, it's all right. It's fine. I haven't got anything, you know, it did what it needed to do. I mean, I can't say that last match was particularly bad. There was parts of it, like that bit that I saw, that we spoke about. I really enjoyed that bit. There's definitely bits that I would change in her presentation. But I don't know that that last match is a match I would say was necessarily bad. But I can't say that was great. And it certainly wasn't all time. So for me, I think I'd be leaning towards it being good, okay. But I think what's important to remember is the way that we manage to separate these matches is actually by the variation. So those of you that do think it's bad, Put bad. And for those of you that thought that was great, I really enjoyed it, put great, right? Because it is the variation on the votes that allows us to have such a wide response pool. You know, we've got like lots of different responses for different percentages and whatever, and it allows us to rank the matches. If everyone was like 100% good, okay, and just kept doing that, then obviously all the matches would just be the same, wouldn't they? They'd all just come out as that. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me that people do vote other things. It helps. All we ask is that you're honest. That's all we ask. We can ask for nothing more. Just honesty. That's all we want. Mitchell, shout out to you. If you do tarot readings, have you thought about mixing your readings into poems? Maybe you could do a poem based on an astrological sign. Good idea, that is. It's a good idea. Did you think about that, Sonny? What, you could do a reading for someone, give them the results, and then take those results and turn it into a poem. Give the person the poem as well. Something that is very personal to them based on their readings. Mitchell's onto something there, you know. Mitchell's onto something there. I don't know that there's anyone else doing that. Harry said, Daze, who do you think Orton faces at Mania? Some people are saying Solo, Rock or Seth. What's your thoughts? I am looking at Drew. They've done a lot of like Drew and Randy teasing, and I know they're both in the chamber, and it may just be for that. It may just be for that. But I think if Drew's not going to be in that title match, then we've got a problem of finding something for Drew. You could do Drew and Sammy, and you could do Solo and Randy. Absolutely. But I would also just float out there the idea of Randy and Drew, who I do believe have faced before, and maybe even at a WrestleMania. So I understand that for some people they might not be into that, but if I was booking, I think Solo Randy makes sense. I really don't mind that match. And Drew Sammy, I really don't mind that match. So I probably would lean that way. But yeah, Drew Randy, I would just float out there. There's been some confrontations. There's clearly drama between them. But I would like Joe Gacy to stop laughing like Bray Wyatt, said Johnny, and then I will like him. But don't laugh like him. No one else can do a scary laugh than Bray, so that's why I really don't like Joe Gacy, says Johnny. Rivi said, have you seen the video of Dustin back in WCW coming out to Kingdom, Cody's music? It's super cool. I didn't know it was actually Dustin's first. I don't think it is it not? I'm not aware of that being Dustin's theme. I thought that was just that someone had put it over the top, to be honest. I didn't know. If that was Dustin's old theme, I wouldn't know that. I was under the impression someone had just dropped it over the top. Here is Bron and Baron. Here's the War Dogs. Get your head in the game. You keep thinking about this money truck that's being delivered to your house. I thought you'd be partying from the big game. He says, I am going to the parade, but I'd like to show up with the tag team gold. Baron Corbin is going to the Kansas Chiefs parade. Can they win the tag titles tonight? Are we going to see new NXT tag team champions? I think we could. Let's get it done. I don't mind these two together. I really don't. I don't mind these two. Here's Joe Gacy. Right, let's end this poll so that people don't get mixed up and confused. So Joe Gacy making his way down to the ring. The camera's upside down. What are we doing? What's this? It's different. Don't like it. I mean, it's different. I'll give it that. It's different. So, upside down camera for Joe Gacy now during his entrance. We are underway. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I don't like the ring gear. I don't like the music. I feel like that was Schism's music. And I feel like we just don't know what we're doing with Gacy. We've had weeks and weeks and weeks to figure out some sort of gimmick. And I think the gimmick is just this anything goes hodgepodge type situation. He's still using Schism music. The ring gear is just, I don't know, reminds me of like a scrapyard. It's just got like bits that are all cobbled together. They look kind of metallic and... I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what we're doing with him. Kick to the midsection there by Gate. How hard would it be to just have him coming out in a yellow mask? Let's go Mello. Let's go Gacy chants. So let's go Mello. Let's go Gacy. Let's jot down these results for this last match. How did the... I mean, I wrote it down. I didn't really pay it much attention. Yeah, by a country mile, the Lola Tatum match is people's favourite so far. By a mile. Gacy over in the corner. Mitchell said, I want to see Bron just destroy people on the main roster. I want to see him spear everyone. Imagine Bron dethroning Gunther. Kappa said Gacy's character's boring. It's try hard to be weird at the moment. It's got potential, but right now it's just nothing. Raymond said, I'm super excited for 2K24. I'm excited to play as the Fiend again. It's going to be incredible, says Raymond. Johnny said, I can't wait to play the Firefly Funhouse match in 2K24. I'm pretty interested to see how it is in the game. Gacy going for the cover on Carmelo. Carmelo kicks out. Days I received my figure. It's very nice. James, shout out to you, my friends. Shout out to you. K-Dub said Gacy needs to get dismantled by Dijak. Come back in months with a fresh gimmick. Wrestle Andy said, Days, how about a black and gold reunion show for one night? Only like ECW one night stand. That'd be brilliant. That'd be brilliant. Who would be on it, though? You'd need... well, obviously Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa would come to mind. They were around towards the end. Finn Balor would come to mind. Shinsuke, Sammy, Kevin. Oof. I mean, actually, when you dig into it, there's a lot, isn't there? Because then you could also do Charlotte, Bayley. There's a lot, you know. Yeah. I mean, in a way, Raw and SmackDown is a black and gold reunion. There's a lot that came out of that time period. But yeah, could you imagine Finn Balor as the Demon and all of that? That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool. Maybe if everyone wore the gear that they were wearing around that time, you know? So Becky goes back to being the steampunk girl. Bayley goes back to being the hugger for one night only. Finn goes back and brings back the Demon. That could be really good. Imagine Alpha Academy being American Alpha And only instead of Jason Jordan, it is Otis. That could be really fun. Yeah, it's a really interesting idea. Because you'd have so many main roster stars, you may even get away with it being a main roster, like, B pay-per-view, you know? I'll take that over flipping Payback. Definitely. I'll take that over Backlash. I won't take that over SummerSlam or WrestleMania, but I'll take it over, you know, one of these B shows. Carmelo is in control at the moment. Headbutt by Gacy. Carmelo looks out the ring and Gacy has disappeared. Gacy has actually rolled all the way under the ring. He did that quite quick, actually. He really must have been like this under the ring to get over the other side. Carmelo looks over the top as Gacy goes through the ropes. Carmelo goes down. Gacy celebrating with the fans because he did something good. And we go to commercial break. So what we'll do is we'll do halftime scores. It is a little bit past that time, but it's fine. See what people think. Everybody, it's the halftime scores. I really want to know your halftime scores. Put it in the chat. Halftime scores. Everybody, it's the halftime scores. Are you happy? It's the halftime scores. Are you happy or you sad? Halftime scores. Everybody, it's the halftime scores. I should get that recorded. If I got it recorded, I could just press play then. Just sit here like this. Right. I just saw a question there from Legendary Physics saying, when do you think Trick would come back? I'm thinking Roadblock. That way they can have about a month of build-up heading into Stand and Deliver. I think that makes a lot of sense. Bring him... keeping him off TV now will just build up the excitement for the return. You bring him back. I mean, Stand and Deliver would make sense for Trick versus Carmelo. So, yeah, bringing him back at Roadblock would be a big moment, big return. Sets up the match and lovely, lovely, lovely. Yeah, I agree. Johnny said, I'm not going to lie to you. I hate Bayley when she was in NXT. And when she first came to the main roster, I started liking her in 2019. She turned heel. I didn't like the balloons. Oh, what, the wacky guys? The wacky inflatable men. Right. 5.5 said Danny D. 6 said Stand and Fight. 6 said Seth freaking Rollins. Terry said 6.5. 1 Minute Wrestler said 7. Billy said 6.2. Vinster said 5.7. SQRL said 5.6. Mitchell said 6. It's not really been many talking points. Joe said 6. Donald says 9. Raymond said 7. Did Lola Vice win? Yes. Malik says 5. Matthew said 5.5. Chastity Plum said 7. Kieran said 5.6. No Ava yet. Jackie said 6. WWE AEW fan said 5. Tingling said 6. Dominic the writer said 6.5. Mike said 3. 1 out of 3. Steven said 7. We have got Harry with a 5, Alexa Bliss Gamer with an 8, William with a 6.5, Chris with an 8, Hassan said, I vote Joe Gacy, Trey said 6, Eric said 4.5, Malik said, I swear, whoever said I didn't like the Bailey Buddies, come holler at me, we're going to have a little one-on-one session, let's go. Please, no fighting, please. Alexa Bliss could wear her NXT attire, said Alexa Bliss Gamer. She could. Hawkins Jr. said 6. Steven said 7. Eric said 6. Virus says 6. D-Max says 6. Adam said 6.9. Young Heath Ledger says 4. Brian says Undertaker, 10. Draco said 6. Raymond said, I'm really starting to enjoy watching Raw. When Rhea started to show her support and she's been my favourite, I hope she wins her matches. Larry with a 6. Johnny said the show has not been good so far. Intoxicated Drums with a 6. Stephen with a 7. Hey Daze, it's Blue Fusion. Shout out to you. I've been a Joe Gacy fan for a while now. I think he could be maybe the only one who could pull off a Fiend gimmick and carry on the Bray and Uncle Howdy story. I think that's difficult, to be honest, because I feel like that story was a story that was being kind of driven creatively by Bray. With Bray not around, you'll have a lot of Bray fans that won't want that being touched. There'll be a lot of Bray fans that are like, no, that's Bray's. You don't touch that. That's his legacy, if you will. I think that Gacy is going to have to... WWE can still do it because they own it. You know, it's not that they can't do it. It's just, I don't know that they should do it. I think what I would look for from Gacy is, I think that darker world, you know, the world that the Fiend and Bray and the Playground Alexa and the Undertaker, you know, the Kane, Boogeyman, that darker world, there is a need for a character in that world. There is a need for a character that kind of digs into that horror side of things. And it's a very big world as well. If you think about horror films, there's so many different kinds of horror films. It's a very big genre, right? I think that someone like Gacy absolutely lives there, right? But the thing is, what do you give him, or what does he portray from that world? And I think anything that's going to be close to the Fiend or close to what Bray was doing, you're just going to upset the Bray fan base. You'll just upset like people that will not want that being touched. It's too sensitive. So I don't think they should continue the Fiend. I don't think they should continue Uncle Howdy using Joe Gacy. But what I do think is that Joe Gacy belongs in that world. Well, not Bray's world, but the darker side of things. And it's just, what do you give him? It's big enough and varied enough where you can give him something that people are always going to look at and say it feels like Bray, right? It's going to be hard to avoid it feeling like Bray, because anything that's going to be dark and mysterious is going to feel like Bray. But then, you know, Bray was being called the new Undertaker because a lot of people looked at Bray and said he's basically operating in the same world the Undertaker operated in. So it's unavoidable, these comparisons. It's unavoidable. But it's just like, can you make it different enough? Can you make it different enough? And I think that I feel like that's what they're trying to do with Gacy. But I still feel like this is Gacy going through his Husky Harris phase. I don't feel like he's reached his final form, because I'm not looking at Gacy right now thinking this is amazing. I'm looking at Gacy thinking, when are we going to find the thing that clicks? When are we going to find the thing that connects? And I just doesn't feel like we found it. Lovely slam there by Gacy. It's not been a bad match, this, you know. Gotta give it its props. These two have been cooking. Double knees by Carmelo. Gacy goes down. Carmelo steps over, goes over to the corner. Gacy starting to stir as Carmelo goes up top. Lovely. Leg drop, back of the head. Down goes Gacy. That should put him away, and it does. So, Carmelo Hayes, I mean, the fact that Gacy never wins matches is a problem. Creatively, storyline-wise, we've got a problem. He's a goof. Right. You can't compare anyone to The Undertaker, said Cosmic Tron. No offense, Undertaker is one of those real-life characters. Aubrey said, Bray was different because he was unique. These dark wrestlers like Gacy are all the same. Kappa said, I don't know what it is, but I feel like WWE is moving so slow on most of its storylines. It's like a snail's pace. Johnny said, Daze, that's why I don't like the House of Black. They act like Bray Wyatt with the lights going out and trying to act all scary like him. Yeah, but you've got to have those scary characters. You can't just say that we can never have another scary character because Bray did it, you know? I mean, I can make the argument that Boogeyman was doing scary stuff before Bray. I can make the argument Undertaker was doing scary stuff before Bray. I could make the argument Kane was doing scary stuff before Bray. So Bray is in a long list of scary, dark characters. And I would say that, you know, what he did was, you know, obviously very creative, and that is his legacy. So I agree with not touching his legacy. And not touching The Fiend, not touching Uncle Howdy. The only people I think that should do that would be a Bo Dallas, right? Or maybe an Eric Redbeard. I mean, he could certainly come back and be Rowan and be like, you know, I don't think anyone would mind if he came back and was Wyatt family-esque, because that's the role he played. Don't know if Braun was all of a sudden to become the black sheep again, how people would feel. I think they'd be okay with it. He played that role, so I think people would be okay with it. But right now we've got Dijak in the ring. He's put Gacy in a straitjacket, which is quite a good visual, actually. This wouldn't be a bad way of him coming down as part of his entrance. You know, him coming down in a straitjacket, all tied up. And then, like, maybe there's just an easy way that he... that would be great. Imagine if he came down in a straitjacket as part of his entrance. And then there's, like, I don't know, it's Velcro or something. And he just does this and stands there and now he's free. And in a way, the visual is like a maniac has now been set loose. I don't mind that visual. And obviously, it clearly allows him to be attacked and jump and sneak attacked whilst he's still doing his entrance. But him coming down with a straitjacket, Velcro, or I don't know, maybe they just pop off. And then he can, like, let his arms out like this. Or maybe it's not even connected. He just has to hug himself for his entrance. And then, like, have his arms go out. I think that would be such a powerful image. And then a bit of like an abandoned lunatic asylum on the screen behind him. And maybe dig into that side of things. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Some interesting thoughts. Right, we've got Jakara. We've got Lash. They were stepping up to some women backstage. Later tonight, we've got the NXT Tag Team Championships. They're going to be defended. We got about 40 minutes left in the show. So already 20 minutes into the second half. We know that we've got Lyra against Shotzi next week. Lyra, Shotzi, the NXT Women's Championship being defended next week. Obafemi making his way out, and we're going to be hearing from him next. James said, exactly, and Papa Shango before all of them, yes. And it's no, you know, it's clearly no disrespect to Bray. You know, I would hate for anyone to get the wrong idea, and this is no disrespect to Bray. Bray just operated in that world and did it expertly. So there is, I think, a real need for another character right now that can operate in that world. People love that. They love it. And, you know, we shouldn't deprive people of having a character that operates in that world. So I'm really looking at Gacy to be that character, and I know many of you are as well. And in a way, he is. But we haven't really nailed down how. He's just a bit wacky at the moment. I can't say he's scary. I'd say he's wacky. I can't say the camera being upside down for his entrance is scary. I can't say him popping underneath from underneath the ring with a glove on a pole is scary, right? I can't say that what he's doing is scary. It's just wacky. It's just a bit unhinged. So they need to turn up the scariness. They need to turn up the darker side. They need to turn up that kind of, do you know what I mean? Him in the yellow mask, I think, is interesting. I would much rather it wasn't a mask and it was actually painted on and it was a bit smudged. I would much rather lean into the unhinged side, you know. I do like him in that straitjacket, though. That did look cool. It's funny, in it. There's a few actually in NXT that I feel their presentation isn't quite right. I am a little bit worried about that, to be honest. I know that Shawn Michaels gets a lot of praise and deserves a lot of praise, and I know that we enjoy NXT, but I gotta say, there's a few, like, I don't think Tyler Bate was being presented correctly, and has now unfortunately took that to the main roster. And I don't think the Riz in ring is being presented correctly, and I don't think that Gase is being presented correctly. And there's a few worries actually that there's a bit of a trend there. There's some that are being presented amazingly, like Obafemi, I think, is presented as a beast, as a monster. He looks fantastic. But there is also a few that you would look at and go, oh, that's a little bit of a problem, I think. We could really do with them being presented a bit better. So, and also, if you look at the show scores for this year have not been brilliant so far for NXT. So again, a lot of excitement around NXT, but actually, if you look at what you lot, not me, you lot, and I do agree with you though, have been scoring the shows, it's all been around that. Good. It's been okay. For a little while now. For a little while. Better than it being bad. But we're certainly far from, I think, the dizzy heights of where we were at last year. Last year, we were, you know, NXT was the show. I mean, we were really loving it. It does feel like it's just took a bit of a step down. But there's still some good stuff going on. I'm into Dijak. Love Ilya as champion. We got the Carmelo trick stuff. Women's division, you know, I'm enjoying Lola and Riz coming through. You know, there's some good stuff. Lyra as champion's good. I like what we're doing with Roxanne as well. I think that darker, more moody, more focused Roxanne definitely appeals to me a lot more. So I'm into that. So there is some good stuff where we're not laying into NXT, but I think if we were being honest, you saw what those halftime scores were. I don't think there's been anything to really change that. At the moment, it feels like that's what the full-time scores are probably going to look like. And it has been quite a few weeks where we've had that kind of 6.5 type thing. Here's the women's locker room. We're back from commercial break. We got Roxanne Perez, Ren Sinclair, Gigi, Ariana Grace. Don't know who the other girl is. I know how you feel. Yeah. You know how I feel. You've only just got here, so you don't know how I feel. Maybe you could ask to face the winner. Roxanne slaps Ren and walks away. So much better. Love it. Oh, goodness is a man's struggle. Oh my God. Oh my God. Evil, however, footsteps is human nature. Well, that was new. And you could hear footsteps. Now, what I would say about that is that is... I think it's hard to tell the footsteps, but if I was a betting man, I would say they were female. It's tricky, to be honest. It could be just men's shoes, but... Tamatonga, but I can't escape Julia as well. Nothing there that tells us anything more, to be honest, but it is a talking point because at least it's a little bit different. I think it's Bo, says Sonny. Breaking my neck to watch NXT at the right angle. I ain't Spider-Man. So that's someone commenting on the upside down camera. Let's go. Right, Obafemi is in the ring. I'm still the mountain of NXT. Obafemi is in the ring. He says that he is the alpha of NXT. Let's turn this down. So here's Lexis King. The King just wanted to come out and congratulate you. So Lexis King has come out. Obafemi, good promo from him, I thought. Feminists unite. I heard you've been calling yourself the ruler. Make your point, said Obafemi. Yeah, make your point. I softened up Dragon Lee for you. It was me, the King, who placed that title on your shoulder. So, Lexis King stepping up to Obafemi. I mean, he's going to murder him, isn't he? Obafemi will murder Lexis King. It wasn't a threat, it was a promise. And Lexis King always keeps his promises. You'll get your title opportunity next week. This throne is not one you'll be sitting on anytime soon. Lexis King and Obafemi start brawling away in the ring. Right now, Lexis King has got Obafemi, and Obafemi, though, hurls Lexis King. Kick to the midsection, looking for a power bomb. Lexis King rolls out the ring. Lexis King rolls out the ring and retreats. Runs away. And Obafemi looking over at Lexis King as Lexis King retreats up the entranceway. Dion Lennox. So we're backstage. Oh, wow. Josh Briggs, Brooks Jensen throwing shots at each other. Here's Ava. If you want to do this out there. Team Brooks Jensen, man. Team Brooks Jensen. Wow. Going at it. Hurling shots at each other. Okay, here is it going to be Kiana? She's with Izzy Dame. Izzy Dame is so tall. Now the show begins, said A. Jobson. Now the show begins. Okay, so Kiana is getting into the ring. Daze, will The Rock upset with me if I say I want to date his daughter? I don't think so. I don't think he'll be upset with you for saying that. I'd imagine that, well, there's people that have said a lot worse, isn't there? There's people that have sent her death threats. I think he's upset with them. Daze, how come you don't have a necklace? You need rep. How come you don't have necklaces? You need rep. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? You mean like gold chains and things? You think I've got gold chain money? You don't know YouTube. I know there's a fantasy about YouTube. I know there's a reputation that YouTubers are living the high life. I don't know if you've noticed, I haven't left the basement in about 6 years. That should tell you everything you need to know. Trust me, you don't want to make that move. All I've got to say to you, my brother, would be R.I.P., said Malik. R.I.P. I don't even know who Kiana's facing. We got just over half an hour left here. Just over half an hour left to go. So many scumbag wrestling fans, but that is an insult to true wrestling fans. Well, he only said he wanted to date her, James. Oh my God. It's not that bad. Not that bad. He only wants to go on a little date. Sir, I find your daughter attractive. I mean, it could be worse. Oh, I know. He's only joking. He's talking about the death threat people. See what I did? I did it as a joke. I flipped it. I saw something that said you earn $29,000 a year, says Matt. Matt, I can promise you that any numbers that you see on the internet, they are going to be false, right? They are going to be false. And do you know how I know this? I know this because how could they possibly know? Because my understanding is that each YouTube channel kind of has roughly the same amount of like money per view, but there are differences. So how could they ever know what your amount you get paid per view is? The amount that I think, so for every 1,000 views that Logan gets, I believe that is a higher amount, a different amount than other channels, but that's not the only exception. So these websites that kind of tell you how much people are earning, they don't have access to that information. There's no way they can get that. It's confidential. It's put away as to how much you earn per view, how much you earn per 1,000 views. So they just don't know. It's as simple as that. It's a load of rubbish. Who was it? I think it was Edward. Edward sent me something. He said, I just saw that in total days you'd earned between you'd earned between 250,000 to 700,000. And I was like, oh, so just a gap of 500,000 then. Somewhere between here, in over 6 years, we reckon Wrestling Daze has earned either 250,000 or maybe 750,000. We're not sure. I mean, why at that point? Why not just put some up going? We don't know. I mean, it's mental. I don't even. To be honest, I think these websites exist to just get views. That is it. They just put up a number, any number, and it is literally just to get views. So I kind of think that I really would not take anything you see on that with any kind of confidence. And I would say the same, like, not just for me, but for the bigger YouTubers and celebrities. These websites exist, don't they? And they'll tell you, like, PewDiePie earns X amount of millions a year, whatever. I don't know the truth on that, but I certainly would not be taking it as gospel. I can tell you that. That did make me laugh, though, that it's either 250,000 or it might be up to 700,000. We're not sure. We don't know. Just a variance of like just a variance of 500,000. That's quite a margin of error. Right, here is Brinley. Brinley Reese is the one that's going to be taking on Kiana James. So, is this going to be the co-main? I'm guessing it is. This ain't going to be our main event. Is it going to be the Brooks match tonight? Are we doing that? I feel like there's another match that I'm... Oh, the tag match? There she is. I knew I was forgetting something. Okay, so Kiana is in there with Brinley. And we're about to get underway. Izzy Dame is at ringside. And these two locking up. Now, we haven't seen loads of Brinley. We've seen, obviously, quite a bit of Kiana James. These two were kind of bullying Brinley last week. Did we see any sort of segment where Brinley, like, actually stood up for herself? Shoulder tackle to the outside. Brinley going through the ropes to the outside and getting into the face of Izzy Dame. Right now, clothesline down went Brinley. So Izzy Dame with a clothesline and Brinley went down. We also, as well, we've got footage of this WWE experience. So we've been talking a lot about that. So footage came out a few hours ago and we will put that in the unseen video for tonight. If you had that much money, you wouldn't be living in a basement, said James. Very true. Very true. Prince Moolah says NXT do love their women's matches. I think we had a good one earlier. I enjoyed the Lola Vice one. So Izzy on the outside. Neckbreaker by Kiana. She goes for the cover on Brinley. Brinley kicks out. Crowd are a bit quiet, man. Crowd are a little bit quiet. Kiana is in control. Brinley in a seated position. We got a rear sort of headlock, sort of rear naked choke. But elbows to the midsection by Brinley. She's trying to break out of this hole by Kiana. And she does. I've made an untitled wrestling poem about Rock and Cody, said Sonny. You should put that out on Twitter, but that'd be good content to put out on Twitter. Nice clothesline. Down went Kiana. Brinley is all kinds of fired up. So she's looking over at Kiana, grabs her, picks her up, puts her on her shoulders. Gonna look to put her... 1, 2. Is that a bit like a Piper's Pit type move? Kick out by Kiana. NXT books more women's matches than AEW in 2 weeks, said A. Jobson. Big Time said it does feel like once they got that TV deal, they really pulled their foot off the gas pedal. They made NXT a big deal for 5 to 6 months. Feels like a red-headed stepchild again. I don't disagree with you. I think that they're, you know, trying to focus on building stars once again. Kiana James picking up the victory. We'll jump into the chat. I really don't disagree. What's this from Ava? Here's Roxanne. Okay, so Ava. You can't go around punching people. Okay, so she's going to have a match against the girl she punched, and I can't remember who that was. But she is then going to... I think it was Ren, wasn't it? Ren Sinclair? So she's going to have a match with her. Then she said, we'll talk about the title picture. And that wasn't good enough, apparently. Seriously. Yeah, seriously, get out. Right. You can't go around punching people. That's true. Ava should tell her dad that you can't go around hitting people. Very good, D-Mac. Very good. Mitchell said, if you had that much money, you wouldn't have to pimp out William anymore. Well, in all fairness, that's not true. I would still continue to do that because he enjoys it and it keeps him out of trouble. So I don't know how much truth there is to that, to be honest, Mitchell. Okay, we've got just some adverts for the bump and a few bits and bobs as we're working our way towards our main event. Any thoughts on who the Japanese wrestler is, says Green? Well, I'm the one that we know is coming to WWE. I don't even know if it's been 100% confirmed, but Julia is the name that we know. So for me, she's got to be the front runner. Okada was definitely the front runner until now we found out he's going to AEW. Okada was the front runner because there was a news source in Japan that said he was coming to NXT. And so it felt like that's where he was going. Obviously, we've now found out different. And because it says his face and him in the actual thing, it felt like it was a male. So I was thinking Okada. But that proverb is a Japanese proverb. And so it feels like it's someone from Japan. If it's going to be a real surprise, then we could be looking at Tonga Loa. We could be looking at like a Gorillas of Destiny type signing. But Julia's the only one I'm aware of that's actually meant to be on her way to WWE. So for me, the fact that it talks about him and his and all of that kind of stuff, that could just be to throw us off the scent and make us think it's a guy, and then it turns out to be a girl, right? So Julia, I think, would be my front runner. But if I was to look for other names, I'd be looking at the Tamatonga, Tongaloa. I think Tongaloa is free. I don't know about Tamatonga. I don't know about if we could have gone and snapped up Gorillas of Destiny. But I know that one of them is free. WWE have announced that Money in the Bank is going to come from Toronto, Canada. The Scotiabank Arena is going to hold that event. So I think that had been long rumored. Oh no, this was announced last month. Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think we knew it was going to come from Canada. I thought that this had just been officially announced, but it's an old tweet that someone's tagged me in. Azza, shout out to you, but does anyone think CM Punk could cost Cody the title at Mania, or Seth could? And what will Drew do? Maybe I Can't Wait should be two big shows. I think that they could. I don't think they will. I think that we finish the story. I think, though, that if they can plant the seed, have a few looks that make people go, oh my God, he's going to cost him, they should definitely do that. One thing I really don't want is us going into WrestleMania with it being a done deal. I don't want it to be guaranteed that the story is definitely getting finished. So I would actually really appreciate if they would build up a bit of doubt. But I think the story does get finished. So Kiana and Izzy is a nice partnership. Sunny said, I've tweeted you. Have you tweeted me? Oh, yes. I am working on new poems. This one is a little bit... do you want me to show this one? Here's an Ophian blade. What are they saying? The backstage? This could be a good thing. Brindley will know exactly how we feel. When we were down and out, Brindley was there for us. Can we please be there for her? What if we make her do 5 likes and 5 dislikes? Here she is. What a buzz. They say experience is the best teacher. She's super positive and she's still really happy. I'm motivated now to train harder. I've never been better. Do you mean to tell me you're not mad or you're not angry? And Brindley's like, I've never been better. Super, super positive. I like that for her. Right, Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen coming up next week. Let's go, man. Let's go. I need a Brooks Jensen shirt. I'm a stan. I'm signed up. I am fully signed up to the fan club now. I love his throwback. It's what Tyler Bate should have been. They've given Brooks Jensen what Tyler Bate should have been. That kind of retro throwback. Little bit of grit in there, I hope. So I'm fully signed up. I'm fully on board the Brooks Jensen hype train. Is there a shirt? Is there going to be a shirt? Should we send him a message? Or send him a tweet? Right, here is... and let's have a look at the shop first. Let's have a look at WWE shop. I don't want to ask him if he's got a shirt. These wrestlers don't tend to get nice messages, so we'll send a nice positive one. Brooks Jensen. Still just got the Briggs and Jensen one, actually. Still just got that, so no new shirt. Here's the tag match coming up. I'll show you this poem from Sunny, and then we'll send a nice little message just saying, will there be a shirt for next week? Sunny says, slap. Don't talk about my ancestors. Worry about your own. Rock versus Cody. Winner takes all. Royal family against royal family. Bloodline against bloodline. Title against everything. Cody to shine. Rock to fall. Powerful. Sonny, shout out to you. wrestling poems based on historical wrestling moments. A wrestling poem on the Montreal Screwjob. A wrestling poem on Daniel Bryan winning at WrestleMania 30. A wrestling poem on the end of the Undertaker streak. A wrestling poem about the return of Edge. A wrestling poem about Bray Wyatt leaving us. That could be very interesting. That could be interesting. Where is Brooks Jensen? Imagine if he's blocked me or something. He hasn't. Do you know, I'm only aware of one person that's blocked me. In WWE, and I don't ever get a chance to see their tweets now, and I have no idea why they've blocked me. I honestly do not remember doing or saying anything that could have resulted in it, right? So I don't know if I've commented on something else and they've took offense, or if they've blocked me by accident, or I literally have no idea. I cannot sit here and tell you why this has happened, but I obviously follow. I don't follow. I've got a lot of the wrestlers, I think pretty much all the wrestlers, in like a list, so I can very quickly get to them to see what they've tweeted out for the unseen videos. And I noticed there was one that I was never seeing their tweets, and I was like, why am I not seeing their tweets? And I went and I was blocked. I was blocked. And it's Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce, GM, someone in a position of power, has blocked me. Yeah, Adam Pearce. I don't know why. I cannot tell you why. I don't know that I have ever said anything bad about Adam Pearce. Not even just on Twitter. I mean, even on these streams, I've always been very, I thought, complimentary. It doesn't change my opinion of him. It doesn't change my my thinking. But I never get his tweets. I never get Adam Pearce's tweets. So I'm blocked by Adam Pearce. It's I've got the whole roster of SmackDown, Raw roster, NXT roster, Nick Aldis, the referees. I mean, I have got everyone. No one has blocked me. Everyone else, straight across the boards, no issue. The only one is Adam Pearce. Mental in it, and I don't know why. I'd feel a lot better if he'd just tell me. Just tell me, what have I done? What have I done? Adam, if you're watching this, I don't know what I've done. I genuinely don't. I'm going to apologise for it, though. Yeah. I hope we can mend this fence. I hope we can rebuild this bridge. Because it would really help the unseen videos. Yeah, I do need to see your tweets. Thank you. Right. Oh, man. I'm sending a nice message to Brooks Jensen, because I am now actually a big fan. I really like his new gimmick, and I'm on board. This might seem like I'm taking the mick or something. Love the new direction that you're going. Any news on new merch? All the best. That will be nice, actually, if he does give me an answer. I never reach out to wrestlers. Don't think you really should, to be honest. I think they get bothered a lot. And, well, I suppose it's not that you shouldn't, but, like, I don't know, they get a lot of hate. They get tagged in a lot of hate, don't they? It's just a lot of stuff they don't need to see. What's the benefit in that? But I would like to know if he's got a new shirt coming, to be honest. I'll definitely rock a Brooks Jensen shirt for next week as he takes on his former tag partner that's been a bit of a douche to him. Right, main event time. Let's change this over on screen. I'm not blocked by any wrestler, even Ryback, and boy, I have tried. Well, the secret is don't try. Don't try, and apparently it just happens. Tony and Stacks versus the Wolf Dogs. This is for the tag titles. Mitchell, shout out to you. Mitchell says, I honestly want to see CM Punk as the NXT GM. Well, do you know, he seems to love going to NXT. He genuinely seems to love like going and interacting with the talent down there. And there is a thought that he is potentially going to be like a Shawn Michaels replacement one day. And it sounds crazy. It seems crazy, but we're at commercial break, by the way. But there is... It feels like there is a chance. I think that he is someone that would love to teach, would love to pass on that knowledge, would love to give back, would love to help nurture. I mean, you see how he is around like Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez. You know, I think he gets annoyed if people don't listen to him. You know, I think he would love to have like given a lot of info to the AEW locker room, but I think his frustration is that people weren't seemingly listening, and that was a frustration for him. Well, in NXT, they're there to listen. That's their only job, is to listen and to learn. So if he had like a whole group of people that just wanted to get information from him, I mean, I honestly think it's got to be one of the most rewarding jobs. Imagine that. Imagine you've had your career, you've main evented WrestleMania, won titles, done all this stuff like Shawn Michaels, and now you get to live close in Florida to the Performance Center, drive down, jump in, do promo classes, all the stuff that we like to do. You know, like we've been talking about with Joe Gacy, and we've been talking about with the Riz, and we've been saying we just need to change this, think we need to tweak that. Shawn can do that. He can pass on all this knowledge that he knows, all this experience that he's gained, talk about the things he did right, talk about the things he did wrong, talk little tips and things that can help them be ready for the main roster. All easy stuff that he knows because he's lived it. The only bit I think he might struggle with is dealing with social media, because that's not a side that he's had to deal with. So that's a side he might struggle with. But cutting promos, having matches, I mean, just teach that with his eyes closed. And he gets to live in Florida, lovely and warm. Gets to commute from home. Doesn't have to really travel all over the country. Can have a lovely home life. Get to work, get home at a nice time, go out of an evening, spend time with the family. It's the dream job, man. He's got it absolutely nailed. Why would CM Punk not want to do that? What's the alternative? Just sit at home once your wrestling career's done. Fan conventions. I don't know. That's I don't think it's too out there. Him like being a part of NXT. I mean, he's been popping up and seemingly really enjoying it. So yeah, there is word on the street that that's something he's interested in doing, is being a part of NXT in some capacity. But maybe he could have that Shawn role one day. I tell you what, if I was a wrestler and I had been there a while, I would definitely be trying to get to NXT. Definitely. As like a job. Amazing. Trainer, promo class, whatever. You know, I understand you can't just do it if you haven't been a wrestler. But I would, yeah, if I was a wrestler, that would be my retirement plan as well. I think, isn't Norman Smiley there? Brilliant. Norman Smiley's getting on in age. He's got tons of experience. He's obviously a great person to have around, but as a retirement plan, fantastic. Spinebuster from Tony. He's going over to Stacks. Stacks is down. Tony's trying to get him fired up. I love you. He gives him a kiss. Hurls him over the top onto Baron, onto Bron. They go down. We're into the overrun. Can this match deliver? So hip toss there, hurling Stacks to the outside. Bron is picked up. Net breaker there by Stacks. Goes for the cover. 1, 2. Shoulder up by Bron Breaker. Big Time said WWE Twitter account has posted a video of Pierce saying he's got 2 big announcements. Ludwig versus Kofi and Otis against Ivar. I went to the main account and I said, really? Pierce saw that and blocked. Oh, what? So you got blocked for that? So, what, for saying about the 2 big announcements? I mean, I didn't do anything like that. And I really don't even remember saying anything bad. So, I don't know. It might be one of those where he just kind of blocked some of those kind of accounts that might reference his tweets or whatever. Perhaps, like, he just went on a bit of a splurge where he was like, I just want this to be for fans and not people that are going to talk about it on the internet, you know? So maybe it was nothing like that. Maybe it was just something along those lines. I don't know. Yeah, that was the only one that I found. And the fact I don't know why it was a bit of a... What have I done here? I mean, I'm over it. It's fine. I don't think it's going to affect the unseen videos too much. In's Bron Breaker. Bron Breaker comes in. I did think, though, if there was other people that were wrestlers that had a problem with, like, being in the unseen videos, that might result in a few other people blocking me. And that, you know, eventually could become a problem. I'd probably have to create, like, a fake account just so that I could see their tweets again. Big clotheslines to the outside. Or he blocked you because someone tagged you saying negative stuff and he blocked everyone in that post, said James. Maybe, but I'm not aware of saying negative stuff. I'm not aware of ever saying anything negative about Adam Pearce. And that would be a shame as well, you know. I think we are honest. I don't remember saying anything bad about Adam Pearce, but we do say stuff about wrestlers, because obviously we're live and we say stuff. And I think if we were ever critical, it would be a shame to see that getting tagged to the wrestlers, because I think kind of what we do here is we have honest conversation about the shows, and, you know, I treat this like we're down the pub. So it's weird that you could have a conversation with your friends down the pub and it then gets, like, tagged to the actual wrestler. I mean, imagine that. Imagine you were down the pub chatting with your mates about football, and then somehow that conversation is tagged to the football person you're talking about. Like, oh, man, that's not what we're doing. We're not trying to upset the wrestlers. We're not trying to personally attack them or anything, you know? Clubbing blows by Tony. It's like tonight we've been critical of Joe Gacy's presentation, saying it doesn't feel right. He could see that and be offended, couldn't he? He could see that and say, I'm trying to build something here, and you're just, like, running me down. Like, nah, I'm not having that. And end up blocking people. And it's like, well, that's not what we want. That's not what we're trying to achieve. We're just being honest about, like, what we see. Baron, I'll tell you what, we're getting to the business end of this here. We got Bron Breaker in the corner. Trying to charge over. Spear by Bron Breaker. 1, 2, 3. New champions. The War Dogs. Bron Breaker and Baron Corbin have done it. New championes. New championes. If getting blocked because of critical, I'd be blocked by the entire AEW roster, says James. I think we all would. I'd be right there with you. So, new NXT Tag Team Champions, Baron Corbin, Bron Breakker, the War Dogs. What does this mean for Tony and Stacks? The team that should never have been can now call themselves champs. Yeah, that was a big spot with Bron going through the commentary table. End of days to Stacks. Tony then nailed Baron Corbin. That allowed Bron to hit a spear. Tony couldn't make the save. It was Stacks that ate the pin. We have got new NXT Tag Team Champions. You deserve it, chant from the crowds. So it's an interesting camera angle, and it was a camera angle where I thought that we were actually going to see something happen. So the camera angle had Baron and Bron standing in front of the entrance stage, and I think the reason they did it was so that they could have and new NXT Tag Team Champions, blah, 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 on in the background. So a nice image of them two standing in front of the message on the screen behind. But because of that camera angle, you could easily have a tag team interrupt. If you wanted to bring a new tag team into NXT, let's say Gorillas of Destiny, easily could have had the music interrupt then and have them come walking out, standing in the entranceway, staring at the new tag team champions. Like, you could have done something like that. I mean, obviously you'd have to sign the Gorillas of Destiny first, but like, you get my point. Very interesting camera angle. Right, let's jump over to the other channel so that we can add the poll. Gonna add the poll. I've been blocked by Meltzer, Sean, Tony Schiavone, and Ryback. I really am not looking or trying to be blocked by anyone. I mean, for starters, it really is not going to be beneficial to the unseen videos. So I'm not trying to get blocked by anyone. Problem is, though, I mean, it's very opinionated social media. I mean, it's where you share your thoughts. And you do just run the risk of saying something that person will then see if they do a vanity search, you know? They could easily do a vanity search. You could easily criticize a wrestler, and then they do a search of their own name, see your tweet, and you're blocked, you know? What? Did you score WWE NXT? What did you score NXT? I can't tell you, man. It's Raw. Raw got a good score yesterday, you know. Wow, I was not expecting that. Raw yesterday, at the moment, 51% great. 35% said good, 6% said okay, 51% said it was a great show. And that is higher than I expected. It really is. Okay. Right, well, that is up. If you go to Wrestling Daze clips, you can click on community and then go down and you will see the poll. So you can vote on that. What we'll do is get a few final thoughts, and then we are going to run away so I can start working on an unseen video that I am drastically underprepared for. Right, Carmen Live said, I didn't go to AW Pro this past Saturday because I had to prepare for the Super Bowl. Carmen, shout out to you. What does this mean for Bron and his call-up, said Tyler. Well, Shawn Michaels did say that he could do double duty, but there are things for Bron still to achieve in NXT, and I think we've seen that here. Joe said the NXT tag titles will make Corbin happy for a long time. Johnny said, I was blocked by Sean Rossap. I told him what I thought about him, and it's annoying to hear news breaking and his name always in it. Carmen said, I'm going to give NXT tonight an 8. Big Time said, I got blocked by Luke Owens for saying I wanted to fertilize his mom's egg and create a baby brother for him. Well, you know, I wouldn't block someone for that, to be honest. But, you know, maybe there's a bit of a bit more sensitivity there. I mean, I've got to think you were joking. I don't think that was something you was really planning, was it? Was that something you was really trying to achieve? I think I would have took that as a joke personally, but you know, each to their own. But who do you think Gunther should go against at Mania? I would say Bron. Philip. Kashawn said, do you rate the show tonight? What do you rate the show tonight? I'm probably like 6.5. Something like that. Maybe not even that high. I mean, I think large parts of this were a bit dull. Large parts of this show I thought were a bit okay. I mean, it was all right. It was... I can't say it was bad. There's definitely moments here. I mean, new tag champs. Definitely down for that. And the Lola match I enjoyed. Main event was fine. But I don't know. I sort of feel like you've got a very good to great 1 hour show here. And then you've got at least an hour, which we could have just cut off, you know. But this is the challenge because NXT is developmental. The problem is that we are being shown a lot of people that are finding their feet. You know, I feel like we've just actually gone through... This is probably the sign. It's a double-edged sword, the breakout tournaments. Because when you get to a breakout tournament, that means that there's enough spaces that we need to introduce some new people. But by introducing these new people, you're going to watch a lot of people that are at the very beginning of their NXT journey, right? So it means that we've got a lot of people coming in that are so-so. You know, the Riz is not amazing in the ring. You could say Brindley is not amazing in the ring. There's quite a few that we're looking at that are not amazing in the ring. It's kind of cool to see these people. I just sort of think, like, you've probably got to be careful to not put too many of them on the same episode and make sure that you've got a nice blend. I don't know. I don't know if we got that balance quite right this week. It is true, NXT was cooking last year. It was really exciting. There was a few big names around, and we've kind of just turned all of that off, which is fine, but I don't know if what we've been left with is gonna satisfy the masses, you know? I think what we've got here is a show that is still better than 2.0, still better than NXT 2.0, but it's a show I would struggle to be giving more than a... I mean, 6.5 would be my absolute limit, be my absolute ceiling. If I'm going anywhere, it's down. You know, 6.25, even a 6, something like that for me personally. There was just large parts of this where I was like, you know, I just don't think we've got Gacy right either. You know, not only are we dealing with inexperience, but I think some of that talent that we've got is not right. It's not being presented correctly. So I want to see some changes there as well. So, yeah, a bit of a so-so episode. I really can't spin it, and I wouldn't want to. I think it's important that we're honest. I wouldn't want to sit here and tell you that this was amazing when it, for me, it really wasn't. And I think we can do a lot better. But I do also think we're in a very weird time where we've just done the breakout tournaments and we've got a lot of new faces around. Maybe we could make an argument or have an argument about, is now the right time for breakout tournaments? Because this is WrestleMania season. Should we not be really cooking right now? Shouldn't we be really, like, do you know what I mean? All down the card, just really cooking. I kind of feel like now is maybe not the right time for the breakout tournament. Maybe the breakout tournament should be held straight after WrestleMania. So that, you know, you've done WrestleMania season and maxed it out. And then obviously there's going to be a bit of a come down after WrestleMania. Maybe that's when we do breakout tournaments and we sort of go through the summer introducing new people as we work our way towards the next WrestleMania. So it's a weird time to do breakout tournaments, to be honest. It's a weird time to have a lot of new faces around. Your Izzy Dames, your Brinley Reeses, your Ren Sinclairs, your Oberfemis. Obviously, Lexis King's a little bit different, but, you know, Trey Bearhill is around as well. Your Riley Osborns are around. There's a lot of new blood that's just come in, courtesy of the breakout tournaments. And, you know, you got to do it. It's got to be done. You can't not do it. It's got to be done at some point. You've got to replace that talent that gets called up. So I'm not down on that. It's just, I suppose I'm wondering, is now the right time for it when wrestling is so exciting? Should we not really be cooking with NXT? I do think that that talent that's just starting out, probably just, you know, it's good to see them, but they're not nowhere near what they're going to be, you know? It is developmental. You do have to keep saying that. It is developmental. So that's how I feel. Days, I remember when NXT was hot and OMG moment videos. I've not seen something like that in a while. NXT ratings have also gone south. Last 6 weeks have been 650. They're gonna dip to 500,000. Well, I mean, look, WWE, I think, have it under control. If ever it did dip, they can just always bring some big stars down. So I don't think they're too worried. I don't think they need to be worried. They've shown that they can pick up ratings. But it's just a case of, yeah, the shows have not been brilliant recently. And to back that up, I can show you your scores. You know, again, as we said, we've got this data that we can look at. And, I mean, look at this. The lowest rated shows we have are these right at the bottom, which we didn't even score. We didn't even score these shows at the bottom because they were the best of episodes. So really, you can ignore those. So if we say this is the bottom of the list, then that means that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In the bottom 10 shows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are NXT. 6 of the bottom 10 rated shows are NXT. 5 of those 6 have come from 2024. That is a pattern that can't really be ignored, to be honest. The 2nd of January, the 9th of January, the 16th of January, the 23rd of January, the 30th of January. So there was clearly a show for the 7th. Where did that one go? Have I not put that in? Was there one? No, it would be the 6th, would it not? The 6th of February. The reason the 6th of February isn't mentioned is because it might not even be on this list. So I need to have a look, see about last week's NXT and make sure that's in there. I probably need a checklist to make sure I'm getting all the weeks in. But yeah, the 6th of Feb, I don't know what that scored. There's maybe a chance that would also be down here. But you can see there's clearly an issue. You can see that NXT scores 6 of the bottom 10. And this hasn't come from me. This is from you. This is from the community at the bottom. So I'd say NXT is just struggling a little bit at the moment. Not a disaster. Not a disaster. We're not saying that the show is terrible or anything like this. But compared to the rest of WWE, you can see where SmackDowns are, where Raws are, and you can see this clump of NXT at the bottom. 2024 has not been that kind to NXT at the moment. I fully expect it to turn around. I think that Sean has shown that he can cook, but it's just not doing as well as SmackDown and Raw at the moment. Check out Sean Ross Sapp's tweet about Dustin Rhodes. Oh, let's have a look then. What's he saying? Sean Ross Sapp's tweet about Dustin Rhodes. I have not been sent it, unless it was sent a little while ago. Sean Ross Sapp. Sean Ross Sapp says... 17 minutes ago, he tweeted, no 124 milli. So he's just joking about the Super Bowl doing 123.4. He has just said about what originally CW wrestlers are still active. He hasn't tweeted anything about Dustin unless it was quite a while ago. Okay. Days, I get to meet LA Knight this Friday and see The Rock live for the first time. Have a great time, Johnny. Have a great time. NXT tonight was taping next week's show. They are going out on some house shows this week. Perhaps everybody was cramming for finals at Chase U. William, later. Raymond, shout out to you. Live Animal said The Rock never been to SLC. The Rock never been to SLC? Question mark. Philip said, I enjoyed the unseen videos. Thank you, my friend. Intoxicated Jum said, I thought NXT was really good tonight. Finally, it's not been this good in a month or so. I think it was pretty poppin' tonight. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Intoxicated Jums. Glad you enjoyed it. Let me end the poll so I can record this main event results. Days Indy Hartwell call-up has been a disaster, says Big Time. What is the best promo in NXT history, said Mr. Unfamiliar. The best promo in NXT history. I don't know. Is there a promo that really comes to mind? The best promo in NXT history. It's a good question, that is. It's a good question. I'm trying to think of what promos really come to mind or really stand out as like the best promos. I remember a Bobby Roode one when he became champion and he kind of laid out his vision, which I remember enjoying. I don't know that is one that would be widely regarded as like one of the best, but that's one that kind of comes to mind. I remember Malachi doing a promo after he found out who'd attacked him. That was pretty fire. I remember a lot of fire promos, but you know, I'm struggling to remember like a classic hard times type promo, you know, or with a tear in my eye type promo. You know, one of those where you go this and everyone goes, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, that was a great promo. I don't know. I don't know if there are any that are like real classic that are really highly regarded. I can remember individual promos that were good, that were fire, but I don't know that I can recall any that are like generational, you know. I wonder if that's partly to do because it's NXT and people are still kind of cutting their teeth type situation. Hey, Jobson said Bailey had some great ones, as did Charlotte. Raw did 1.6, down from 1.8. Their previous week was 1.9. SmackDown is going up and Raw is going in the other direction. One show feels like it can't miss TV, said Big Time Baxter. Nicole said, Days, have you seen former WWE superstar Maven is doing videos now, talking about behind the scenes? I think you would like it. Maven on YouTube. I've seen some of those, yes. I've seen some of those, but... I've sent you the dream card for an NXT reunion show. Okay, let's have a look. Where did you send it? Where did you send it? Was it an email? Was it a DM? We might never know. Where did you send it? Where did he send it? Where did he send it? Where did you send it? Oh, there it is. It just came through. Right. So, Wrestle Then says, NXT TakeOver 10th anniversary show. Johnny Gargano against Tommaso Ciampa. Sami Zayn against Kevin Owens. Asuka versus Charlotte versus Becky versus Bayley. Shinsuke Nakamura against Volta. Andrade against Finn Balor. AOP versus DIY versus War Raiders versus Street Profits. Look it. How could you not be excited for that show? How could you not be excited for that? To see Johnny Gargano against Tommaso Ciampa. The only problem you would have is that would you build those feuds or do you just make them do the matches? So, like, you know, for example, Johnny and Tommaso are good friends now. You wouldn't have them split, would you? Just to build up the feud to do the match. Surely they would just go in. Would it lose a little something? Kevin Owens and Sammy doing it as, you know, a handshake, best man wins type thing. Same with Johnny and Tommaso. I don't know. That's an interesting one. I mean, like, that's an interesting one. It would be amazing. I would love, love, love that show. But if you was to actually make it a reality, would you, like, have to book it and build it? Or do you just go, here's the show. And it's just best man wins, friendly handshake, let's get after it. But then if you did that, would something be missing? Do you think Raw is too formulaic and one-dimensional? Triple H's version of filler is longer wrestling matches to kill time, and that's brutal. 20 writers, and we can't find non-wrestling segments. I don't think it's a problem. I think wrestling ebbs and flows. I think it's up and it's down. I think that Raw, I mean, like, it wasn't that long ago people were like panicking because it was down at 1.4, 1.3. And it massively rebounded because WWE has got such resource that it can kind of do something that's going to make it bounce back in the ratings. So they've gone and got themselves a monster deal with Netflix as well. I think that for me, WWE, I think if you're gonna be so focused on like individual numbers and that you're going to be like looking at it on that kind of level, then, you know, if it's going to be down, then it's always going to seem like it's doom and gloom, you know? But then if the numbers are up, then it's going to seem like everything's amazing. I just sort of think you can't look at those individual numbers in that way because you're not looking at the bigger picture. I would zoom out. I used to work in retail. We used to have financial numbers, and I can tell you that we would pay attention to the day numbers. Of course, you want to hit your target, but we were a lot more interested in the week and the month. A lot more interested. We would be sitting down and tracking our progress for the month as the priority. A lot more important you hit your month numbers than your daily numbers. You can have a bad day, you can have a bad week, but you can always turn that around to hit your month numbers. So I kind of feel like looking at like show ratings is fine, and people do it and they're right to do it, and it's interesting. But if you have a number that doesn't deliver what you want, well, the job is then to make sure that you bounce back next week, isn't it? The job is to make sure that you pick up that rating next week. If you see a pattern like what we're seeing with NXT, with the you lot are voting on NXT and you're giving not very good ratings at the moment, that suggests there's a pattern, there's a trend of concern. That would bother me a lot more. That would bother me a lot more. So I sort of look at like Raw and I'd be like, well, 1.6 isn't bad. I know that they've been higher and I know they've been in a better place, but 1.6, yeah, I mean, you'd like to see that get picked up, but the goal is now, well, what do you do for next week? Well, next week we know that they've got a few interesting matches up their sleeve. Can they promote, like Cody's going to say something to kind of get like, a bit of extra interest? I don't know. I just think it's a fight in it all the time. It's just a fight. I don't think that it's too formulaic or that the matches are too long. I don't think any of that. I don't think any of that. I think it's a case that I thought it was interesting we started with a match. I think that showed that we are trying something different. I think that having some matches that can go in length is important. I think people do tune in for wrestling. You see these numbers going around where it's like AEW had this much of its show was wrestling, this percentage of the show was wrestling, whereas Raw was this percentage. It's actually, you can't win if you give a show that's got little wrestling, people criticize you for not having enough wrestling. If you give a show that's got a lot of wrestling, people criticize you for having too much wrestling. You just can't win, can you? So I think do what you think is right for the match and what is right for the show. If you feel like the match needs time, give it time. If you think the match doesn't need time and it can just be short, then just have it short. I don't really get this kind of mentality that it's all got to be one thing, you know? I just don't get that. Why does it? If you've got a match that doesn't need to be long and it can be a squash, make it a squash. And if you've got a match that needs room and time to breathe, let it have room and time to breathe. And I think what we've seen from Triple H is a willingness to go longer than what we saw from Vince. I do agree with that. But I don't think that I'd be willing to draw a comparison to that and go, look, it's not working. This did 1.6. I wouldn't be willing to make that. There's not enough data to support that at the moment. I think there's too many factors at play. So 1.6, it is what it is. I'm sure they would have liked more, but I would be a lot more focused on. And you know, I think the only reason people don't focus on it is because it's not something that is ever delivered. Why don't people look at what February delivered as a whole? Why don't you get every rating from February last year, add them all together? That will give you your month total viewership for Raw, and then compare it to what Raw has done this month. And that, to me, would be interesting. That would be a number that I'd be interested in. But we never actually see that get reported, do we? We never actually see that get reported, which I think is quite interesting. That we don't ever do, like, I suppose it's because most shows don't run all year round. So it's not a statistic you could have for most shows, but it is a statistic you could do for Raw. You could add up all their shows from last year, add up the shows from this year, and you could see a year-on-year rating. This is how many people tuned in 2023 compared to 2022. This is how many people tuned in for January of 2022 compared to January of 2023. You know, I would think WWE would have that data. You could have that data for month. You could have that data for quarter. So 3 months. And you could compare your quarters to the quarters the year before, or even the quarter the month before. Like, there's a lot of ways you can break this down, so... but I don't work for WWE, so I don't need to worry about that. They need to worry about that. And we'll see. I haven't caught up on ratings. From my experience, I'm finding it hard to enjoy. The last few weeks has been a bit boring. Just match after match and no breathing room in between. Well, I think that they are investing in longer matches. I think they have got a lot of talent that they are trying to get over. And I think there's obviously different ways that you can do that. We know that Triple H loves those off-site locations. I mean, he did it a lot in NXT, and we've seen, like, Pretty Deadly doing their Dead Queen thing. We've seen Caden and Katana in the club. So, you know, we've seen the Viking Raiders with their ceremonial stuff. You know, so I think he has shown that he will do off-site location shoots, and he will do those kind of interesting away from the ring type segments. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that we've been doing many of them recently. But then saying that, we've gone down roads we're not meant to be going down with this story, which is going to have changed the whole narrative for the main event stuff, hasn't it? And you know that's got a big knock-on effect. If you change what you're doing with Roman's opponent, well, all of a sudden you're changing what you're doing with who Cody was facing. And that might have a knock-on effect for the winner of the Chamber, which might have an effect on the Chamber then. So, you know, this thing, I would say they've just done a massive pivot, like a big change. I'm sure they're focused on that and trying to sort that, which is going to be less time for other things. But also the repercussions, the reverberations of that is going to play out for other things as well. So I would say give them some time, give them some space, let them finish trying to cook what they're cooking. And we'll see where it's going. But, I mean, look, the buzz in general for WWE right now is massive. Absolutely huge. Even if they are dropping the ball on Raw, yeah, which I don't know that they are, but if they are, then I've got to say they're picking that ball up and running with it from the press event. And they're doing some decent stuff with SmackDown. And I think that if Raw has gone bad, it's only been recent. So I don't know. I think I'm just really pumped for WrestleMania season. I'm really excited. I can't wait to tune in next week. We've got the Intercontinental title match, which I'm really looking forward to. I don't think Jay wins, but there's a chance he does. Jay could be the one. I don't think he will be, but he could be. And as we said, I think we're get Elimination Chamber out the way, which is not far away. And then it's nothing but WrestleMania focus. It's nothing. At the moment, we are having to do these qualifying matches for Elimination Chamber. Once we get Chamber out the way, it's nothing but Mania, baby. We're going to be eating good. And we're going to be eating good on Friday as well with Rock and Roman. Listen, I need to run away anyway. I could sit and talk ratings. I could sit and talk WWE till the cows come home. But that's not going to help me make an unseen video. So really appreciate the support. I appreciate people joining us and sharing their thoughts. We will get an unseen video up. There is no stream tomorrow, but I'm sure there'll be another unseen video tomorrow because the wrestling world doesn't sleep. But SmackDown, baby. SmackDown on Friday. We may start even earlier. Rock and Roman are going to be on the show. And can't wait to see what goes down. So have a good few days. I will see you all soon. Thanks for watching.